Game day for the Buffalo Bills as they try to get back into the win column. They're on the road today against the Pittsburgh Steelers, looking to remain in control of their wild card positioning. The Barnstrom injury report: injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. The Bills will have to make do without both of their starting tackles. Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown both listed as out for this game, along with Terrell Bernard and Curtis Samuel. Samuel was placed on injured reserve. In addition to the injury, the Bills signed wide receiver Gabe Davis to his roster spot. Dalton Kincaid, Joshua Palmer, and Tylon Grable are officially questionable for today's contest. As for the Steelers, they will be without offensive lineman Broderick Jones and defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Jones was placed on injured reserve yesterday as well. Aaron Rodgers, dealing with a broken wrist, will start against Buffalo today. We'll have coverage of Bills and Steelers all day as we gear up for the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Around the NFL, Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will be good to go under center for Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. Dart had been dealing with a concussion. The Detroit Lions won't be getting the reinforcements for their offensive line after all, as former Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow failed his physical and will not be able to play for the Lions this season. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Ready!
Buffalo Bills game day on the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
All right, here we go. We got to have a drive.
23 left.
It's time for Bills Game Day with Jeremy White and Nate Geary. Brought to you by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. It is Buffalo Bills Game Day. Jeremy White and Nate Geary with you from our Amherst studios as we kick off our pregame coverage of Bills and Steelers today from Acrisure Stadium, right? That's what they're calling it these days. But Chris Brown and Eric Wood call the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Sal Capaccio on the sidelines, and we'll be ready for you come the 4 o'clock window kickoff. 4:25 kickoff between the Bills and the Steelers. Chris Brown, Eric Wood calling the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Today's broadcast presented by Miller Lite. It's Miller time, Bills fans, and the opening segment of Bills Game Day is brought to you by Crosby's Pizza and Subs, Crosby's Hometown Fuel. Game day ready since 1992. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nate.
Good morning.
I've been off all week. I worked on Monday to get one more taste of Bills Texans and talking about that. And since then, everybody on the Bills is hurt, and now Brandon Cooks is on the team.
Yes,
so
Brandon Cooks. Hi.
I feel like while I was gone, a lot of stuff happened, and here we are playing a game. We'll play a game today against the Steelers, where the thing I want to say about the game today is that any victory of any kind is great.
Style points that's over.
3-2.
That is over.
Is a win.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I think that this Bills team, especially with these injuries, is not a team where you can ask to be impressed.
No.
They're down such significant players, and that's not that unusual, right? We've watched the Bills miss important players for weeks, months, playoff games. I don't think it's ever been this significant on the offensive side of the ball in Josh Allen's entire career. This might be his individual biggest challenge of his life.
Yes.
Both tackles out against a team that can get after the passer. And Dalton Kincaid likely out of this game, we think, right? The elevation of Latu means he's probably out. So, we'll see the inactives, but man, it is going to be a big, big test for the Bills today to beat a Pittsburgh team that we probably don't even think is that good.
No.
But on the road, and this defense, which will have a couple of playmakers, I don't know what to expect from the offense. They have been under fire the last 10 days because they didn't have a game plan for a pass rush. And now two of those guys that were the two best players at protecting the passer are gone in Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins. So, 3-2, whatever it takes.
13-44-19. I just feel like the results of the last three games kind of perfectly encapsulate this offense. Inconsistent, high highs, really low lows. These are the lowest lows since the last year of Dable. I mean, these are the lowest lows that we've experienced here with a team that has an established running game. By the way, the number one running attack in football should not have such dramatic lows every other week. And, you know, I've gotten to the point where I thought really kind of all week. We had the the mini bye week, right? And a lot of time to reflect, think about the rest of the season. And I have gotten to the point where so much is made of every year the regular season. And I kind of have been saying the last 2 years, I just don't feel like I give a damn about the regular season anymore because there's just so much going on. But it doesn't matter because this team's failures rarely come in the regular season. This year, they are coming in the regular season. And it's, I think, a combination of a lot of things. Personnel, injuries, scheme. It's, to me, right now, the perfect storm of you're a team that has been in your window for as long as you have, and it sort of feels like it's falling off in front of you, except for the fact that the Chiefs stink, the Ravens are worse, and the Bengals aren't going to have enough time to make their way back into a playoff picture with Joe Burrow. That means the 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks in the AFC, Drake May aside, he has not done enough for long enough to be considered in that big 4 yet. He might be in the conversation in a couple of weeks, but to not have a team move, like doing what they typically do this time of year, which is roll into the playoffs. You know, hey, we're 6-6, but we're going to win 4 straight and get into the playoffs, or whatever it is. To me, they need to start finding their stride. They're in a position that the other 3 teams I just mentioned are not. They are in a playoff spot. They control their own destiny. I don't know that Kansas City does. I mean, the Ravens probably do because that division stinks. But, Jeremy, you got to get in. You just get in and take your chances against Daniel Jones with a broken fibula and Drake May, who's going to be making his first playoff appearance, and Bo Nix, who you guys kind of beat down last year in this building in Buffalo last year. So I'm looking at this AFC and I'm saying, how the hell did the Bills get here? Because what an opportunity this season would have been to have that 1 seed. The roads were paved in gold.
Well, how the Bills get here, how the Ravens get here, how the Chiefs get here, how the Bengals get here.
They're getting old.
Aren't they all in the same kind of boat?
They're all getting kind of old.
You can sit here and say, like, wow, look at this. It's a year where the other teams aren't even that good. If you're the Ravens, don't you say the same thing? Wow, man, the Bills, they're not even that good this year.
Yeah.
We got to just get in, and we can beat that team. The Bengals, I don't think they can get in. Their odds are pretty low, but they're 8-0 in the last 8 games that Joe Burrow has started. And the Chiefs, we'll see. The Bills are still very likely to make the playoffs. I do think this year's AFC playoffs, Nate, force you to confront something that you haven't had to confront in like 2 decades, and that's regular quarterbacks can make Super Bowls too.
Yeah, that just rarely happens.
That hasn't happened in the AFC since when? The last
regular quarterback in the AFC.
Do you know? I did this. I actually had the stat on this. Do you know the last time? Well, how did I phrase this? The last time
a guy.
It's not a random one. It's the last time a quarterback made the Super Bowl for the first time in the AFC. Like, how many back you have to go? Burrow, Mahomes, and then before that one, you know how long it's been since a guy made the Super Bowl for the first time? It's like Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
You haven't had first-time guys make the Super Bowl outside of Burrow and Mahomes. And is there one more I'm missing in here somewhere in the AFC? It might just be those 2.
Yeah.
Because Brady made it a bunch of times. I think it might have been Flacco. I think it's Flacco. 3 first-timers ago is Flacco.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the NFC, a new quarterback makes it every year. Every year.
Yeah.
I got to find that tweet I had because I put it out a couple months ago, maybe weeks ago, and it was how many quarterbacks have made it for the first time in the last 20 years. In the AFC, it's 3. In the NFC, it's 15. So this conference has been at the mercy of the stud quarterback. And the Bills, lo and behold, they got one, right? And then what happened? They kind of, relied on him too much and built around him a team where they missed a bunch of stuff, and he kept covering their mistakes and covering their shortcomings, and here we are. So I don't think the season is over. I think they can make the Super Bowl. Winning it, I mean, that's going to be tough because they have, to me, they look like they have more flaws than ever.
It's not just the injuries, it's the flaws.
Right, it's before the injuries.
Yeah.
Like the injuries today, to me, the story of this game is going to be what they can do considering how injured they are. The injuries are, I don't want to say impossible to overcome.
They're pretty
Teams
absurd,
overcome
though.
injuries.
They're pretty
The
absurd.
Bengals rolled in here with, 2 healthy offensive linemen and beat the brakes off the Bills in a playoff game. So sometimes that can happen. But, man, no Brown, no Dawkins, and the timeline of it all, we'll talk about it with Sal. So Tylan Grable's been on the IR with a concussion for 3 months. Like, he's been on
Was it concussion?
injured reserve.
Is it concussion?
Yeah. Injured
It's not-
reserve.
It wasn't an injury? It was a concussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now he's ready to go.
Okay.
And so now he's not. So he's not been able to. You're on IR. You can't practice
Yeah.
with the team. So he's not been practicing with the team, and it's all right, off IR, and you're in. Probably.
Okay.
That's not great. So, I mean, it's just it's a rough spot to be in. You put Chase Lunt or Tylan Grable or Alec Anderson, or it's just really going to be a tough spot for both your tackles to be down at the same time. And no Dalton Kincaid.
Yep.
And
well, maybe. I'm not totally convinced Kincaid's
Okay.
out. I think that if you feel he's either A, game time decision, or B,
Right.
close enough to a game time decision, you want three tight ends. You have to elevate him just in case.
Right. Sure. I don't want to. I guess I shouldn't say Kincaid is out. I think the tea leaves read like he probably is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be. You're right. And if they're down so many offensive linemen, maybe they're going to draft as many big people as they can. So that means more tight ends.
Yeah.
I mean, is Jackson Hawes going to play tackle today? Like,
You know,
maybe he should.
I think where we'll get to when this season's over, and we'll have plenty of time to do this for 6 months, but when we look back at this season, I think the thing that I'm going to come away with, and listen, I mean, I have a lot of friends that cover the Bills, that podcast and talk about the Bills. We all defend, to a certain extent, the Bills. But what I found a little weird, or to me, I didn't think this was worth defending, was the Bills constantly just picking up the guys that had already been here, the Poyers and the Balin Spectors and the Shaq Lawsons and the Jordan Phillips. And we all said, well, it doesn't matter. Those guys are break glass in case of emergency. Well, they've broken all of the glass.
All of the glass.
So now listen, they're never going to have to rely on these guys. So who cares? It's, to me, of course you don't plan to play players if they are break glass in case of emergency. The problem is they are 1 or 2 injuries away from playing. I have gotten to a point, and again, I'm pretty much at the point, Jeremy, where I'm ready to throw out the rest of the beginning part of this season and just get to the playoffs. And I will like Josh Allen in every matchup against these quarterbacks once they get to the playoffs. But to me, how they got here, I don't know that we're able to be critical enough of the roster construction, the decisions made at the roster level, the decisions at, to be honest, like wide receiver. I know it's like, we're
Right.
here. We are. We're talking
about
receivers,
we talk
but
about so much, but it's right.
Holy cow! They release a lot. To me, this is the most frustrating part. This is not a plan. What's happening? We are out of answers. Dart throw.
Try anything.
Dart throw. How are we? I mean, the desperation on November 30th at that position is remarkable.
Well, it's also
new low.
It's a
new low.
I would say it's routine.
It hasn't. I don't feel like it's been this bad.
They signed Cole Beasley and John Brown to come back in the playoffs.
They did do that.
That's pretty low.
And they did play.
They played.
Yeah.
That's pretty low.
It is low.
It is routine. To be this desperate at this position this late in the season is routine.
The release of Elijah Moore and then the subsequent move of essentially they soft fired Samuel.
I guess he's on IR now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's like going into work and saying, why don't you just go home?
You're
going to get paid.
You don't have to come in today.
We'll talk after the holidays. Just go home. Spend December at home. That's basically what the Bills have done with Curtis Samuel, their $8 million a year wide receiver, who's going to leave here with 38 receptions in 2 seasons. I'm sorry, a season in 2/3.
He'll come back, right? He's on IR, but
I think they're out of.
All right.
I think again they soft fired Curtis Samuel.
Right.
So you now have 2 receivers that know the offense and have been here all year, have been jettisoned. They're done. Bye. And you have a wide receiver who got here on Monday. So I think you have to play Keon Coleman this week.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Brandon Cooks practicing returning punts.
Okay.
Why? He's 32 and he hasn't returned a punt since 2019. The special teams piece of this, where they can't play receivers or they have to find a person that can punt return but not play offense full time. Well, I'm losing my mind with some of this stuff because...
Well, people are freaking out. I think you're not alone that people are definitely freaking out. That's happening.
I just don't know how you get here being as confident as Brandon Beane was in March about this room. To me, again, it goes back to this idea that it's not just the NFL, it's professional sports. You either get better or you get worse. You don't stay the same year to year. The Bills thought they could stay the same on offense. They thought that they could have another historically low turnover ratio.
Mm-hmm. While also getting them from the defense.
While getting them from the defense.
Maybe not. They tried to fix the defense. So
a historically low. Now, in fairness, I think if cooler heads prevailed in this offseason, they said, let's say it regresses 20%. We should plan for 20% regression.
Mm-hmm. You'd think.
They got like 80% regression in sacks and turnovers.
Yeah, sacks have been
They got a dramatic regression away from it. It wasn't just a subtle one. This was as unbelievable as last season was, is as unbelievable as this season has been, the opposite direction.
Yeah.
To not build in some level, some percentage of regression is setting yourself up for failure.
803-0550 is our phone number, and 1-888-550-2550. Give us a ring. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Bills-Steelers game. Aaron Rodgers. We have an unintentionally funny tweet from Ian Rappaport today about Rodgers, who's going to play with some broken bones in his hands. And we'll talk about it with you at 803-0550. Johnny in Buffalo leads us off. Johnny, you're on Buffalo Bills game day. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning. I think I just felt every ounce of frustration you had there, Nate. It's just we went into last year thinking the same thing, right? Like, this roster it's not there. The talent's not there. We probably have the least talented group of receivers going into the season. And what did we do in the offseason? We added a guy who didn't succeed in Los Angeles and Josh Palmer and said, yep, we're good. And we didn't change anything schematically about the offense, and exactly what you said, we stayed the same, and this is what we get. And to not build in any type of regression back to the mean of turnovers, it's like that's terrible management. But all that being said, I'm with you. When we get to the playoffs, hopefully we still make it. I think we will.
I think they'll make it.
I look at the AFC standings, and I look at the quarterbacks at the top. The Patriots – they're playing good football. Drake May's playing great, but again, I'm not
scared of the Patriots. Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. They're not scared of you either.
No, for sure.
So let's put that out there.
That's fair.
They're not scared of you either.
You're not wrong, and they're not scared. But we'll see what happens. They haven't been there in a while, and I hate to say it like that.
There's one reason, because before they didn't have Drake May and a competent coach. So
and you're not wrong, but they have to prove it come playoff time. And I know we haven't proven it to beat the Chiefs, but they're not going to be there this year. And
maybe
the NFC. Who scares you in the NFC? The Eagles,
like 6 teams.
I will say
maybe
the Rams.
Maybe not 6 teams. The Rams. I think the Rams are
about it.
The Rams are excellent. The Seahawks are actually excellent. They just look bad against the Rams.
Yeah.
They're like 3 or 4 teams in the NFC that are pretty good.
Darnold turns into a pumpkin come playoff time.
He does that against like 2 teams in the last 40 games. Like, Sam Darnold's done that against 2 teams.
He does. This is the point, though, is Josh Allen's first playoff run. Their greatness was in there, but it was sugar high Josh. What is the biggest consequential game the Patriots have played this year? Is it the Bills in Buffalo?
Sure, whatever you want.
Okay. They're not really going to... Now, this is more of a college football argument than it is an NFL argument. But you get to the playoffs and things change. It becomes more about the quarterback.
Yeah, it's funny because all I hear is that's where you have to run the ball, Nate.
Well,
you have to run the ball.
Well,
in January.
No, I don't think so. I just think I agree with you. The Patriots aren't scared of the Bills, and they shouldn't be scared of the Bills. I don't know that anyone should be scared of the Bills, but that shouldn't stop me from looking at the Patriots to say this is the same team that lost to the Steelers and the Raiders to begin the season. And I don't want to hear how it's the beginning of the season because I'm a Notre Dame fan. I don't want to hear about the beginning of the season. Doesn't matter.
I guess I just want everyone to pick a lane. Is losing to a bad team a sign that you're bad?
No, because the Bills have lost to two bad teams.
Right. You got to pick a lane here.
But I think you can acknowledge I think you can have opinions about the Patriots, even if they're contradictory about the Bills, because I think you know the Bills have been there. And I think once you get to January, there's going to be 7 teams, and there's a good chance the only team with experience with the teams and the quarterbacks that have experience are going to be the Bills.
Yeah.
It's going to be Josh Allen.
You hang banners for experience?
I might. If it gets them to a Super Bowl, I will.
You get to take it to the scoreboard and say, like, here, can we have some points for experience? Do you get to do that?
I think.
Think of all the experience that Jordan Poyer and Shaq Lawson and Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano and Terrence. A lot of experience.
There's a lot of experience.
How do you feel about that experience?
I think I more so want to isolate it to Josh Allen.
Okay, fair.
And I want to look at the quarterbacks and I want to say right now today, if the Indianapolis Colts, how about this? The Denver Broncos end up being the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bills
go to Denver.
What's the line?
How on earth do they score?
What's the line in that game?
I don't know. I don't care.
Like the Bills.
The Bills were favorites in Houston.
Yes, they were.
The Bills were favorites in Atlanta.
But I guess my point is,
the Bills were favorites in Miami.
Right.
Tell me more about the spread.
Well, I'm saying
how are they going to block anybody on Denver?
I think. Well, yeah. I mean, they did it last year in the playoffs.
That's
same
right.
defense last year. Was same offensive line, same defense.
Last year was a different team. Last year, Joe Brady had all the answers. This year, Joe Brady doesn't appear to have all the answers.
That's right. But I will say,
not all the answers.
I've at least looked at it and said, that defensive line's really good. The Bills figured out a way to figure it out and score points against a really good defense last year.
They did.
That was last year.
They did was they got a 4th down touchdown pass to Ty Johnson, a miracle catch to take a 2-score lead because that game was close in the third.
Yes, it was.
It was close in the third.
They almost lost to Skylar Thompson 2 years ago.
Right,
and like
that's right.
It's the randomness. But I guess where I'm coming from is I will take Josh Allen in matchups against every quarterback that is currently in the playoffs.
You are always with this team asked to, do you want to bet against Josh? Of course not individually. How about the rest of the group?
Sure, I'll bet against them, no problem.
Because I don't disagree. Like, listen, they could win the AFC, and would that make them think that everything they've done this year is correct?
Sure, it might.
I don't think it would. I really don't. Like, they're in trouble, and they kind of know it.
I think this is the conversation we should have had last year,
right,
that I was trying to have last year.
Right.
Because they were not good last year. They just, they caught lightning in a bottle.
Won a lot of games.
They caught lightning in a bottle. Going into last season, they were a rebuilding football. They were doing a soft rebuild.
That's right.
Until they weren't.
And then they went to the AFC Championship game.
Yes. Historic, we know. Historic this and historic that.
And now they've come through it, and they remain a very good team. And that whole soft rebuild, transition.
It kind of, nobody talked about it after 4 weeks.
You did that. And one thing I always like to point out when asking about this is, like, where's all the cap space?
There's not.
So what was it for?
I don't know.
To get younger?
They didn't.
Are not younger.
I mean, they tried, but other young players aren't that good.
Any win today is a good win.
Going back to that, just win. Just win, baby.
This is where this started.
Just win, baby.
Bob in Syracuse. Hey, Bob, before the break. We're connecting with our fans. Hey, Bob, good morning.
Hey, guys. Trent Dilfer, that's the name. That's the last AFC quarterback that won. I believe. I could be wrong.
No. I have it here. Quarterbacks making their first appearance in a Super Bowl since 2006 is what I looked up. Quarterbacks making their first appearance in a Super Bowl since 2006. The AFC has had 3 first-timers since 2006. The NFC has had 14.
Wow,
that is a Brady, Manning, Mahomes stat.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Hey, here's what I'm thinking, guys. Obviously we were 4-0 at the point that we lost. That I was at that game in Buffalo, the New England game, and prior to that loss, this has been without question a run-heavy, run-identity team. And, and New England did a really good job, even though I thought we kind of got away from some some of the concepts, running concepts. But I think that, you're going to have Watt, you're going to have a couple of those pass rushers. They're going to be running upfield. I think this is a great opportunity to be able to really get back to, to Cook and maybe even Davis and try to run between the tackles on the left side. I think you're going to have a lot of opportunities to be able to do that. I think that's where the Bills can win this game. If, Allen gets back there and is running around like a lunatic, I think there's no way we're going to win. I think we have to run the ball, and we have to use James Cook today. So that's my take.
All right, thanks. We'll see. It's going to be tougher without those two tackles.
TJ Watt has not been good this year.
No, not at all.
So
Nick Herbig has been very good.
He's been very good.
Casey Hayward, very good.
Watt had a big play last week against the Bears, the sack fumble in the end zone. Otherwise, there have been pitchforks out for TJ Watt.
Cameron Hayward.
Not
Casey.
Yeah. Casey Hayward's his tight end brother.
Right.
But no, there has been pitchforks out for this guy sat out and forced us to pay him all sorts of money, and he looks like a shell of himself. Other than last week, he plays in front of his brother. He plays pretty well. But
is he on the call today?
I don't know. No, I don't believe so.
Right.
But all in all, this is a bad Steelers team who is, are they the oldest defense you have ever heard of in your life? Do you know, they've got, their average age on defense is 33 years old, 34 years old.
The Steelers?
They are.
Yeah, it's very old.
Cam Hayward is 36. Slay's 34. They've got TJ Watt's 32, 33. They are old defensively. I do agree with the caller, though. I think the run game is where you're going to have to try to hit them. And it would be nice to see Alec. If Alec Anderson's not playing right tackle, they should use him a bunch today. They should bring the swing tackle back into the fold.
803-0550. Connecting with our fans, with Bills fans. It's Bills Game Day. Jeremy and Nate. Reunited, back for it. Last time we did a show, the Bills walloped the Bucks.
Yeah, that felt nice.
Yeah, and then in between they got beat by the Texans, and they're paying for it. They're paying for it. The down two tackles. And how about Josh Allen on the injury report as general soreness?
Yeah, what?
After a Thursday game.
And I go, why? What happened?
After a Thursday. Still sore.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. All right. Time for a break. We'll be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
as they look to remain in control of their wild card position. The Barnstorm injury report: injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Buffalo will have to make do without both of their starting tackles, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, out for this game, along with Terrell Bernard and Curtis Samuel. Samuel was placed on injured reserve as well over the weekend. The Bills signed fellow receiver Gabe Davis to that roster spot. 3 players questionable for Buffalo today: Dalton Kincaid, Joshua Palmer, and Tylon Grable. As for the Steelers, they will be without offensive lineman Broderick Jones and defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Jones was additionally placed on injured reserve yesterday. Aaron Rodgers, dealing with a broken wrist, will start against Buffalo today. We'll have coverage of Bills and Steelers all day as we get you ready for the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Weather for today's game looks like it'll be about 37 degrees by kickoff, but there will be some wind being a factor, close to 20 miles an hour today. Weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. Around the NFL, Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will be good to go under center for Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. Dart had been dealing with a concussion. The Detroit Lions will not be getting the reinforcements for their offensive line, as former Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow had failed his physical and will not play for the Lions this season. Ragnow was planning to come out of retirement. This update is brought to you by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
We understand where we're at. At the same time, we have full confidence in ourselves, but, ultimately it comes down to executing on game days. And, we've had some good, had some bad throughout the year. I think there'd be a lot of teams that are wishing that they were 7-4 in a spot that we are. So also understanding that opportunity in front of us of, hey, let's go out, let's play as hard as we can, let's put our best foot forward, try to go get a victory on Sunday. That's ultimately what it comes down to, of whoever plays best on Sunday.
Josh Allen, Locker Room Audio. Locker Room Audio is brought to you by Reimer Home Services. Homes rely on the Rhino. Bills Game Day powered by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living. A spicy first segment here on these Bills. If you want to join us, you can. Let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills. Enter now, WGR550.com, for a chance to win $1,200 towards your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow, comforting today. So Brandon Cooks is on the team, and Elijah Moore is gone. Moore,
yes,
who came in after the draft. The GM famously said, not so famously, there are other famous things he said. One of the things he said that I remember on One Bills Live was that they had talked to Elijah Moore before the draft. They said, let's put a pin in it, see how the draft goes. And then, of course, when they drafted only a 7th-round receiver in Caden Prather, they went back to Elijah Moore and they signed him. And then Elijah Moore ends up his Bills career, let's just say he hit the unders for what a lot of people might have expected. Not 9 catches. Was it 9 catches? It is 9 catches. 9 catches for 112 yards. His closing line in Houston was 1 for -3. And he's gone. And now Brandon Cooks comes in. Cooks, who would have been available from the Saints at the deadline, nobody paid whatever they were asking for Cooks. He gets his release. He comes here. So we'll see if he can make a difference. He's been traded a bunch.
Yes.
He's got vertical speed. He's someone that, is in the league as like a 4 to 5 receiver, an older guy. Just see what he can do. And we'll see how quickly the Bills can get him.
The problem is I think he's their number 1 receiver right now. So,
no Curtis Samuel, no Elijah Moore. Keon Coleman likely dresses in this game.
I think they have to, because Brandon Cooks at best knows a third of the playbook.
Yeah, which means if Coleman can get out there, are they open to let's see him do what he does, or is it we don't like the idea anymore? There's ways this could go.
I think you can make arguments for both.
Sure. I mean, you might as well try to throw it to him and see if he can make some plays for you. The Steelers secondary is bad.
And old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Keon Coleman might be able to separate in this game.
It's also ironic to me that he got taken out of the lineup immediately after he made a play.
Yeah.
He did make an important play for you. The rest of the team couldn't make enough plays, but he got a touchdown against the Dolphins, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Disciplinary reasons, of course, and then a short week. So now he's back. Whatever had been bubbling for a while, we'll see how that
I
comes
also
up
think,
today.
listen, they are they clearly trust and are now kind of going all in on Gabriel Davis. And, again, I thought it was funny during our broadcast for the Buccaneers game where I'm pretty sure 2 years ago, this was the game where everyone's like, okay, no more Gabe. Don't sign him in the offseason. Goodbye. No. Everyone was exhausted of Gabe, and now he's the savior.
He's a very good
He is.
$2 million receiver as opposed to a $13 million receiver.
Very, very right.
Yeah.
Very right.
Alan in the car. Alan, good morning. You're on Buffalo Bills Game Day.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I just want to make a comment. The Chicago Bears last week against Pittsburgh were missing 6 D starters and 2 offensive starters. And again this week in Philly, and they found a way to beat both of these teams. Philly's they just look horrible right now. They look, we talk about the Bills losing big games. They got whipped by the Giants. They lose this game, and they blew the 21-0 lead against Dallas. And I just think this team, I don't know if you mentioned this, Jeremy, a couple years ago we played the Cincinnati Bengals. They had 2 starters on the defensive line, 3 were missing, and we couldn't get to their quarterback. And that was a travesty.
Yeah, the playoff game.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs game in that divisional playoff game here, we're missing 2 starters. This year, I look back, 5 teams have been missing 2 important key Pro Bowlers or key linemen, and they won 4 times. And 2 of those teams were bad teams. So this Pittsburgh's defense is horrible. And Dan Orlowski on Tuesday, I think it was a Chris Brown show, and Steve mentioned that he thinks that this is going to be a get right for the Bills and that they're going to pick that team apart.
God, I hope that's right.
And I look at Sims and I look at Daniel Jeremiah and a lot of this national media. You listen to guys around here and they're not as optimistic about the Bills, but the national media seems to really think this is a get right game. And with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, maybe you can comment on this, Jeremy. I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers. The spread I thought would come down when it was announced that he was a starter. It stayed the same. And, I can't imagine him being effective. But, maybe you can comment. I'll hang up and listen to you. Take care.
Thanks, Alan. On Rodgers, I got 2 things on Rodgers that I think are super interesting. Number 1, he's playing hurt today.
With potentially 3 fractures in his left wrist.
Ian Rappaport tweeted out he has 3 fractures, one of which is a more consequential break that can only happen with significant force. He's playing regardless. This bone's in his left wrist. So
hit him.
Well, more. Rappaport quote tweeted his own tweet with, this is the one that's unintentionally funny. Aaron Rodgers was already a respected figure in the Pittsburgh locker room, but the way he's handled his injury has earned an even more respect. Not 1, but at least 3 fractures. But because none are displaced and because pain tolerance isn't an issue, he can go. So Rodgers is going to go playing hurt. Here's what I really wanted to get you. This came from Pat Thorman at Establish the Run on what the Rodgers offense is. And there's some numbers in here, so if you'll bear with me, I'll try to not give them, too much number weight and more of a story. What the story is? Are you seeing what I'm about to read?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Mason Rudolph went in, the Steelers operated at a much faster pace. They threw the ball more. They operated an offense like they're not afraid to throw the ball, and they ran at a high rate and still throwing short. The tempo helped achieve a snap count that Rodgers hasn't sniffed all season. Basically, the story is when Rodgers is in the lineup, they slow play all their games. That he once was a prolific passer, this is what he writes, who routinely lifted offensive volume in every way, but now he dawdles to the snap. He burns the play clock like Bridges. These days, Rodgers puts the linger in gunslinger. That basically his passes are glorified handoffs, muting the pace-juicing effects of Pittsburgh's elevated pass rate.
The Burns time like Bridges?
Yeah. Burns time like Bridges. So what you're seeing is, yes, that's Aaron Rodgers, but what does he do out there? He's a game manager. He wants to game manage. He wants to get the ball out of his hands, especially, by the way, if he's got an injury now.
Yeah.
He does not want to get hit today.
No.
Now the Bills' pass rush doesn't often hit quarterbacks lately. Nope. But something to consider today is that Rodgers is not the gun. He puts the linger in gunslinger.
That's really good.
So a slow pace, and you know what? I bet you see both these teams play a really slow running clock kind of game. Both these teams are going to want to play slow.
The other thing is,
aren't the Bills going to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hand?
Yeah, probably.
You're going to see a lot of screens today because the tackles don't have to hold up for that. It's a good way to mitigate your tackle issues, is to throw screens.
The eye roll I just gave you.
I know.
I'm actually out.
But come on, is that
questionable?
Is that not the right idea?
Tear.
If you're ever going to do it, hey, I got T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig in a nasty defensive line against a secondary in Pittsburgh that stinks, and my tackles can't play. I'll throw screens. Right?
Yeah.
It seems to me a time to actually do it.
Here's the other thing, too. They don't. So I've been yelling about Joe Brady not using the actual good players, and then they released one of them.
Elijah Moore?
Yeah. The Steelers don't use their good player on offense. So that's a good sign. They don't use Jalen Warren. They use
he's good.
Kenneth Gainwell instead.
Jalen Warren is a tackle breaker.
He is really good, and they don't give him the ball. Because I have him in fantasy, so I know that firsthand. They don't give him the ball. They give it to Kenneth Gainwell as a small scat back instead. So, and they have Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator.
Right.
Fantastic. I did not know how bad their defense was, though.
It's pretty bad.
Their defense is 32nd against the pass.
They got lit up
They're
against
bad.
the Joe Flacco and the Bengals. Yeah, bad. Real bad. 803-0550. Mike and Cheektowaga. Hey, Mike, good morning.
Hey, guys. I was watching Charles Barkley and Shaq the other night, and they were mocking out Anthony Davis, who missed so many games that his nickname was Street Clothes. And I was just thinking about it. The Bills got too many guys like that. I mean, Curtis Samuel, who's on IR, I know now, Terrell Bernard, to a lesser extent, Taron Johnson and Ed Oliver. But the worst is Dalton Kincaid. We see this guy about once every 2 months, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's a great player and he's a talented guy and he's better than Tony Gonzalez." But he's never in the lineup. Number one and number two. And perhaps it's just a coincidence, but it's a lot of guys that got paid, and I don't know that.
Well, Kincaid's not one of those guys that got paid.
Not yet, and I hope we don't. But I know that he's going to probably have a great game today if he plays. But you're not going anywhere if you got like just a certain cast of people that are not available to help the team.
Yeah, for sure. Can't make the club in the tub, right? Best ability is availability. You know, I got a tweet about this earlier. Somebody wrote to me wishing other players had the all-in mentality of Josh and, like, easy. Guys want to play.
Yes.
And if guys could play, they would. In fact, in the case of Kincaid, you might have a player that wants to play and the trainers don't think he should because they want to protect him for later in the season. And he might yell at them and say, "I feel good."
Yeah.
And they say, "We don't care."
Yep.
We got other games
and
that
that
will
happens
be more important.
a lot.
Yes, right. So I don't want anybody, don't go calling the players that aren't playing soft. If guys are consistently hurt, that can be bad luck, that can be bad training, that can be a number of things, but I would just really hesitate to call anybody that's not playing soft because, they're not all in. I just don't buy it. But the flip side of that is if a guy can't stay healthy, then, you ask whether or not you should sign that guy. How'd the Bills get Joey Bosa? Because he's a guy that's had injury issues, and the team he's on decides to, all right, well, thanks for everything. We're going to go in a different direction. And he goes to the market, and he gets less than what he's probably worth because he's battled injuries. And guys that get hurt, guys that have that is something that definitely affects how much they make. You get incentives, you get bonuses, you get contract clauses that work in. So, but in the case of Samuel, no doubt. Like, since the day he showed up, he's been hurt.
Yes.
Now, is that his fault? No, but it is still a reality. Thanks for the phone call. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. Jeremy and Nate, it is Buffalo Bills game day. Open phone lines for you. Give us a ring if you're on hold. Stick with us. We'll be back in a snap. It's brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
Good addition, going against him a number of times, always respected his game, his good speed, knows how to play the position. Some guys have good speed, but they're not true wide receiver and football players. He's a combination of both. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for his game. By all accounts, from people that have been around him, some of whom are in our building already, they talk very highly of his professionalism and what he can do. And so, yeah, it's a good addition.
Sean McDermott on Brandon Cooks, who joins the Buffalo Bills. It is Buffalo Bills game day. Jeremy White, Nate Geary. Let's take a look at the playoff projections. I was off most of the week on our flagship station here in Buffalo on WGR, but I spent Monday saying, and I'm saying it still, I believe the Giants will beat the Patriots today. And the Bills probably really need that. But yeah, Jackson Dart is playing. He is good. Good-ish. Yes. The Giants have been competitive with a lot of good teams and blown the games. That's why Brian Daboll got fired, right? They're up multiple scores on Denver. Like they are very competitive, and they just have a terrible record. And New England has been playing with fire the last few weeks, whether that's Tampa or Cincinnati, or there was a game before that too. I just think they're playing with fire, and I think the Giants win. They're without their left tackle, Will Campbell, so 1 o'clock game. No, sorry, it's the late game. It's the Monday night game. So, tomorrow we find out. But on the playoffs, the Bills to make the playoffs still in very, very good shape. To win the division, the Bills' odds are down to 7%.
Pretty low.
If the Steelers win this game, the Bills would drop to 3%. And then if the Patriots won, kiss it goodbye. It is going to be over. Yeah. But whatever. Like, Bills could win. And if they do,
Campbell's out.
And they get that Giants win that I'm predicting, the playoff odds will be back up to 15% by Monday night. So, there you go.
Can I real quick say something?
Do we have to scoreboard watch like the other games?
I was just going to say this.
Houston, Jacksonville. Are we in the hunt watching? Because the Bills lose, they're going to be in the hunt.
Don't post who we should be rooting for.
Okay. All right.
Don't do that, Bills.
Don't need that?
Bills did that. They posted on Twitter.
Oh, the Bills did.
A graphic of who they should be rooting for on Thursday.
It's tough. How the mighty have fallen.
And then Sean McDermott said, and I quote,
It's fine. There's nothing.
In the hunt, it feels good. No, it doesn't.
It's a buzz phrase.
It does not feel good.
It's fine.
It feels good. To who? Liar.
31 minutes ago, you said if you get to the playoffs, you'd feel great about their chances.
I don't like being in the hunt.
All right, fair enough.
I thought I was under the impression it would be I would be dead by the time they'd be back in the hunt.
803-0550.
Unfortunately, I'm very much still alive.
More of your calls. We'll check in with Sal Capaccio as well. Bills in Pittsburgh. If you're driving down to the game, a little snowy out there. We got some snow, huh?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, happy belated Thanksgiving to anybody, you and yours. Hopefully had a good Thanksgiving. Question I want to ask of you out there in your lives. Are you making mashed potato waffles like everyone else should be?
Ooh, no.
You've never done it?
I don't have a waffle maker.
Let me tell you.
But is it just mashed potatoes?
Yep.
Or do you put mashed potatoes with like stuffing? Because I've seen stuffing.
You can do both.
Together or separate?
Sure. You can make a stuffing waffle, make a mashed potato waffle, make a mashed potato waffle turkey sandwich. Let me tell you. Thanksgiving was invented for this. This is the next evolution. Mankind reached new planes when we got to mashed potato waffle, turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce.
How much? So outside of this, just question, do you use your waffle maker?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, often.
Okay, see, I feel like you are in the 1% of waffle maker owners.
4-year-olds, they like waffles. They like waffles.
Yeah.
Yes. 803-0550 to join us. Jeremy and Nate here on Buffalo Bills Game Day. More of your phone calls. We'll check in with Sal from Pittsburgh as well here on Buffalo Bills Game Day.
Game day for the Buffalo Bills as they try to get back into the win column this week. They're on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers this afternoon, looking to remain in control of their wild card positioning. The Barnstorm injury report for this game. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. The Bills will have to make do without both of their starting tackles. Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown are out, along with Terrell Bernard and Curtis Samuel. Dalton Kincaid, Joshua Palmer, and Tylon Grable officially questionable for this game. The Bills also elevated Balin Spector and Kaleki Latu from the practice squad for this game. As for the Steelers, they'll be without offensive lineman Broderick Jones and defensive tackle Derek Harmon for this contest. Jones was additionally placed on injured reserve yesterday. Aaron Rodgers, still dealing with a broken left wrist, will start under center against Buffalo this afternoon. We've got coverage all day of Bills and Steelers leading up to the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Weather for today's game looks like it'll be about 37 degrees, but some wind could play a factor here, close to 20 miles an hour today. Weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. Around the NFL, Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will be good to go to start Monday night against the New England Patriots. Dart had been dealing with a concussion. Retired Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow's comeback attempt has been denied by injury. Ragnow failed a physical as he attempted to return to the team. Ragnow retired back in June. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Good afternoon. It is Buffalo Bills game day, a 4:25 kickoff coming your way. We're getting you ready for that kickoff between the Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers with Chris Brown and Eric Wood calling the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Today's broadcast is presented by Miller Lite. It's Miller time, Bills fans. And Bills game day powered by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living. Be listening coming up today on the ECMC halftime show. ECMC, go where the Bills go. Nate and Sal recap the key moments of the first half and bring you up to date on the Skyworks stats of the game. Skyworks equipment rental, building America from ground up. We got another segment here. Can continue to get connected with you. If you want to call in, Sal's on his way to the stadium with the team. He'll be calling in about 12:35. So once they get to the stadium, Sal will pop on with us. We'll get the latest injury issues to get to. Lots to talk about. The game has lots of leverage for the Steelers as well. To make the playoffs, I think this is a big one for the Steelers. The Bills, to make the playoffs, are still in very, very good shape. The Steelers are in pretty good shape as well, in large part because of that Cincinnati win. Yep. But Pittsburgh, the swing they get, according to the New York Times playoff machine, if you have your own playoff machine, that's great. You let me know what your swing is. They have a 24% swing on this game, from 53 if they win to 29 if they lose. That's the Steelers. So it would gain a lot. The Bills' swing is less drastic because the division is still there, and AFC records and all that. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. The Bills, all right, no, the Bills is just as big. It's 23%. If the Bills win, 91% to make the playoffs. If the Steelers win, the Bills drop to 68%. And then Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming in.
Don't want
to Orchard Park next week. So 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. Whatever you want to chat about with this team, with this game. The injuries are big. They are significant. And inactives will tell more of the story as well. But we know Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins out for this game. And the players that have been ruled out, among others, like the Bills, it's a lot. The elevations would tell you even more. So it's going to be a battle. Really tough. Coleman and Cooks will be active, according to Ian Rappaport. So Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman active. Bills Daily just retweeted that moments ago. But no Dawkins, no Brown, no Bernard, no Curtis Samuel, who's on the IR now, and Josh Allen will try to stay upright in this game. Really, it's going to be It's going to be
No
tough.
kidding.
We'll get some calls in and your thoughts. If they win, they're sitting pretty. New England plays in a primetime game tomorrow night against the Giants. CJ in Buffalo is up next. CJ, good morning. Good afternoon,
gentlemen.
rather.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah. How you doing, Nate? How you doing, Jeremy?
Good. Great.
Real quick, I know you guys were talking about who you trust more in the playoffs. You're pretty much comparing quarterbacks. And I know Nate said he'd take Josh Allen over pretty much the field in the AFC as far as quarterback. But with this being an ultimate team sport that Jeremy says all the time, I don't think the Bills put Josh Allen in a position to be the best version of himself. And this is since 2020, since we went and got Stephon Diggs. Now, it falls under, yes, we're losing our left tackle and our right tackle for this game. This game is scary, but I think we'll win it to be kind of like the playoff game against Denver. But it falls to the point where what do you do to help Josh Allen? Yes, he's phenomenal, but you can't keep putting him in a position where there's nobody for him as a facilitator to give the ball to. There's nobody getting open. He's really working very hard, and he's resorting back to his old ways, which I think is sugar high Josh Allen, but I call it panic Josh Allen now. And I don't know if the GM sees it the way the fan base does. And I say that going from 2020 to now, it's like a cycle repeating itself. You tell us, it takes two people to make a trade. True. But if the Waddle situation is correct, you're not willing to give up essentially a second-round pick, and it's not like you're drafting great. If you were, I'd say, okay, keep your picks. But give up the first-round pick this year for a known commodity in Waddle other than drafting somebody like, for example, a Keon Coleman, who's unknown until now. He's a known commodity that, hey, this guy is a one-trick pony. I don't want to complain. I'm not here to say get rid of Brandon Beane or get rid of Sean McDermott, but it's this cycle that keeps happening, and you see every other team getting better. Even if they don't get better, they're trying. We just want to see our GM try. They seem complacent, so to speak. I'm tired of seeing the running backs. Derrick Henry should be with Baltimore. They didn't need him. They led the league in rushing. They went and got him anyway. Saquon went to the Eagles. They didn't need him. They got him anyway. You see my point. I'm not going to keep going, but that's where I'm going with it.
Yep. CJ, thanks for that point about, like, I don't know if it's complacency or whatever. Like, they're trying to win, and I think, like, Bean has said, we're going to keep trying to kick the door down. The question is how aggressive to get. And sometimes he'll say, I don't want to bankrupt the future. And whenever he does say that, I'm not a fan of that.
Me either.
Because I think it's selling something that's not a reality, right? Like the Rams did go all in and then won the Super Bowl. And they might have gotten lucky to do it, but whatever. Like they made aggressive trades, and the trades were not even like that big. It was a second for Vaughn, maybe 2 seconds for Vaughn, and then they signed OBJ. They didn't trade for him. He got let go by the Browns, right?
Yep.
But they're viewed as going after it. And they also haven't had a first-round pick because they traded for Jalen Ramsey, and they traded 2 to go get Stafford instead of Goff. They had 1 5-12 year, and now they're just back. And I don't know if you've noticed, like, Bean once made a comment, I don't want to have like a Rams-like rebuild. And that looks pretty bad right now to have said that. Because here are the Rams, awesome again. And they didn't have a first-round pick this year either because they traded it away again. Like, this time it was in a different kind of move. I guess.
And then they traded back, and now they have 2 first-round picks next year.
Right.
On one that's probably going to be a top 10 pick.
Right, exactly. And what I would get to is having Josh Allen, instead of viewing Josh Allen as the thing that'll keep me afloat so I don't have to do that much, I feel like you should do it the opposite way, which is he'll keep me afloat. I can take big swings.
Yes.
I should take swings. I'll take a swing at Jalen Waddle. And this year, when it comes to this offseason, whatever, if they win the Super Bowl, then we'll all party till we, fall over. But this draft, I'll tell you right now what I'm going to say they should do. They should trade a first-rounder to move up. Because I don't care if you have 6 first-round picks in 6 years. I need 3 difference makers over 6 years.
Yep.
That's more important. More elite-level players. And think about the cost. Like, I know how this will go. This doesn't have to be a receiver. You want to make this edge rusher, you can do that. You can't trade cap space in the NFL, right?
Nope.
But you kind of can. And how do you do that? You say, I'm going to trade a first-round pick. In addition to, I'm going to trade my 27th pick and next year's first to move to 12 to take a stud receiver or a stud defensive end. And I spent 1 pick on the player, and the other pick I spent on not having to pay him $30 million for 5 full seasons. There is immense value in getting a player that is cheap. So spend the pick to save the space. It's easy to justify. Now I can use that $25 million over the course of the next 3-4 years because that's tied into all of my roster moves. So that's a conversation for the future. The idea that they got complacent, they also have a number of injuries. They've had some players surprise them. I don't think they've, right? Like Taylor Rapp was a surprise how bad
he was. Yeah.
Terrell Bernard has been a surprise how poorly that went this year.
Yep.
They're rookies. Hairston's been good, but they've had to wait for it. Sanders and Jackson, not much. Walker, flashing some good things. Hawes, a nice role he's got. The offseason of free agency, Michael Hoyt was the prize, and he played a game and a half. So they've had some bad luck in there, too. I don't think it's all just complacency. I think it's a little bit of, I think we're close. Let's go fill in these holes.
They've had some remarkably bad luck at pass rush.
They definitely have.
Like Von Miller.
Right. That was working out. I guess what I would say is Brandon Beane should take his own advice, which is say, we're going to keep trying to kick the door down. Well, then kick.
Yeah. Do what Philly's doing.
Don't tap it with your foot.
Philly is kicked all. I mean, I saw a chart the other day about future contracts and dead cap. Philadelphia is, we all look around and say, how does Philly have all this cap space? Because they don't give a damn.
Well, the Bills do that too. The Bills
not nearly.
The Bills
as much,
are
though.
second in the league in pushing money down. But if you want to know what the Bills do differently than the Eagles, they pay middle players.
Yeah.
And the Eagles don't.
They pay really good ones.
803-0550.
They also draft really well.
They also
always
pay for everything on offense and draft defense. And then they let the defense walk and they draft more defense. Like they've done that a bunch.
Yep.
But the Eagles pay everybody on their offense. And right now the Eagles offense stinks. So like that's a team to me. The Eagles took swings. Why? Maybe because their quarterback is not that reliable. Anyway, Cowboys look good right now. They took us. Then there's
They do look good.
Then
Yes.
there's that kind of swing. Hey, should we trade a 3rd-round pick for 1 year of George Pickens and see if it's going to work? Well, it might be a head case. Like, all right, let's try a head case for a year. See if it fits.
He's literally like one of the best receivers in football.
He's pretty darn good.
With another really probably the best receivers in football.
Steve in West Virginia. Hey, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, guys from West by God, Virginia. How are you today?
Good.
Hey, CJ had a really good call, and you guys kind of touched on it earlier, too. Our receiver room is lacking at best. I'm waiting for McDermott and Brady to throw up the white flag and say the everybody eat mantra does not work, because it doesn't. I think we should take our picks, like you said, move up and get a stud receiver, maybe 2 in the coming draft. We need speed outside to separate because we just don't have it. Samuels has been a horrible pickup, and I don't know where to go from here. You can't. I've heard them say Josh can make good receivers better. We don't need Josh to make good receivers better. We need Josh to make good receivers great.
Or receivers to make Josh better. Like that's the other part of it.
Well,
that's hand in hand, Steve. Right? Like how about someone to make him better?
Right. That's why, like you just said, take some picks, move up, get a couple really fast burners in the draft on rookie contracts. Then that way you've opened up money. You're not going out and paying a seasoned veteran all this big money. Now you've got a couple of good guys on rookie contracts. Now you can use that money to go maybe after a defensive end or something. Work smart, not hard.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. See, we have all the answers. No. Right. The rookie contract value is huge. It's one of the reasons that, over the years I feel like a lot of picks to this past offseason especially, there were like diminishing returns because so many pieces to the defensive line in an effort to just get one of them to hit. And Hoyt might have been the one that was going to hit. He's like a hybrid defensive lineman. And Walker, like maybe he'll grow into something truly great, which would be awesome. But they just need somebody to end up being great, like to really end up being great. And that's when, to me, this will all, come home. It's nice to say do your 111th. You do that. That's what the coach should say. But the Chiefs dynasty, if I could say that it's a dynasty, one of the things the Chiefs have that I guess, no, they probably do get enough credit for that, and that's this. They've had 3 of the top 10 players in the league for multiple seasons. And if you, before the Tyreek Hill trade, did they have 4? And they had Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. That's 3 of the top 10.
Yeah.
And the NFL's like top 100 year over year over year. And for the Bills, we see Allen sometimes bouncing in out of the top 10. And then the next guy is Dawkins, Cook, Milano, Taron Johnson. Like, they pop in and out. I just want a few more players I feel like he can count on. And that's where, like, this game today, it's tough. I think Spencer Brown is a heck of a player. And I think Deion Dawkins is a heck of a player. They got exposed on Thursday against the Texans. Their offensive coordinator made them look bad. Like, everybody gets help against that team. The Texans head coach said it. Nobody plays us like that.
Yep.
Those linemen needed help. And that's no shame. That's just the reality. They needed help.
They were, going into that game, Jeremy, the best pass-protecting offensive line in football. Even with the addition of more Josh Allen sacks than we're familiar or used to, they were still the number 1 pass-blocking offensive line. And for it to take them 3.5 quarters to start chipping and like some of the film review was one of the worst offensive game plans in Josh Allen's career.
Yeah.
Like, and not to be dramatic, because I know I'm dramatic. That was one of the worst game plans, and then their inability to adjust. Like, I watched Eric Turner do a breakdown about this, where they basically tricked the Bills. They kept a quarterback spy that they had a dedicated offensive lineman to, which means they created one-on-ones for about 90% of Josh Allen's dropbacks.
With 2 of the best pass rushers in the league.
And 0 response to that with 8 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was just getting battered. And on top of that, you have your right tackle with 1 arm who they're still not giving help to.
And then when he went out and Vandermark went in, he didn't get help either.
No. It was one of the more, man, maybe this guy is not good. Like, I think I'd been pretty critical of Joe Brady, and I think a lot of people were saying, okay, yeah, well, injuries, and yeah, well, not a ton of injuries, and yeah, the personnel kind of stinks, and maybe he's got caught up too, but he's got these concepts, and they ran mesh 30 times, and they ran duo another 30 times. They just run the same plays, and then they do not adjust. I mean, the failure to adjust. I was on a podcast with John Fina this week, former Bills offensive lineman. It's like, this is stuff, protections, is stuff you install before you install plays. And you want, like, if the quarterback is getting hit and there's free rushers, that's on Josh Allen. When against the Falcons, where there was free rushers coming after Josh Allen, that's on Josh. He's got to know where those rushers are coming from, get the protection set, and then find his hot read. They were just rushing 4. They didn't even have to rush 5. So, and like listening to their head coach kind of sound like he's throwing shade, but really all he's doing is like, yeah, I mean, they wouldn't change what they were doing. Why would we?
Right. Brian in Arcade is up next. Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys. Brandon Beane, he's drafted 9 wide receivers in his 8 years here in Buffalo. Average round was 5.3, and we wonder why we don't have talent. The thing I want to talk about today is how do the Bills take the middle of the field in the passing game? You go back and watch the Texans game. You had Josh Palmer on one curl route that looked clean and efficient, and then a breakdown kind of tight play with Jackson Hawes up the middle. Other than that, there's nothing in the middle of this field, and with Latu getting pulled up on the practice squad, I think it's signs pointing to Kincaid not being there, so that's a hole. I think you're going to look to resurrect the Detroit playbook from last year and start throwing to running backs, get Ty Johnson more involved, get Cook out there more involved. And last point would be amazing that when the Bills passing game got desperate, lo and behold, it looks like Khalil Shakir can run something more than a tunnel screen when you have to have a play.
Thanks, Brian. The point about the middle of the field, like that's a direct reflection of the Texans just covered your corners, or they took corners on the outside guys. Like, we don't have to worry about that. Pittsburgh probably can't do that. Even if it's Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman and Tyrell Shavers, I don't know that Pittsburgh will be able to shut down the Bills' outside receivers as well. Maybe, but that's the reason the middle is shut down by scheme is because on the outside, like, Stingley on whoever, was playing 9-on-9, 9-on-8 because you're quarterback. And then, of course, we're dropping a spy on him. So, you could rush 4, get tremendous pressure, and still drop a good amount into, clogging the throwing lanes. So, we'll see. They did have their best offensive game of the year without Kincaid. Tampa, just sometimes I want to say that too. They don't always need him. Today they'll probably miss him quite a bit though. We'll see. Mark in Jamestown. Hey Mark, good morning. You're on Buffalo Bills Game Day.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Nate, you're not too dramatic. It's not normal to be 9 years in and where we're at, and I'm happy to be in the hunt, I guess, after 9 years. I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, and I know Joe Brady's taking a lot of heat. I think it's a little bit unfair. We got to talk about McDermott here. This guy picked Bean himself. He didn't run a search for a real offensive coordinator because he's too insecure to have anybody with a system that's not his. He cuts off the media left and right. I don't know how we're here now, but at the end of the day, I don't know what guy gets 9 years in the helm. He's had more coordinators fired than promoted. Dable's the only guy who got promoted to a head job. Doesn't look like Brady's going to get there. And Dable and McDermott don't get along. So what does that tell you? This guy's an issue. It's a big issue. I think everything we do is driven by McDermott. And I can't see us getting there until he's gone. It's bad. The whole game plan this year and last year is YOLO. We have Josh. We don't need talent. Let's throw it all in the defense. We got TJ Sanders playing defensive end. By the way, guys, last I knew TJ Sanders is not a defensive end. And
right.
We're not injured at defensive end other than Landon Jackson, who couldn't get a jersey.
To that point, Mark, I guess, it's chicken or the egg for everybody. But, why are they playing TJ Sanders at defensive end?
Because he's not good at defensive tackle. He's getting
blown
again, off the ball.
Matter,
defensive
tackle.
No,
we moved up.
That's what
they did move up for him.
Who did?
The Bills.
Who?
Brandon Bean.
Not right.
They're one and the same.
But I don't.
Mark, thanks, Mark. We'll get to a break here. I just want to say, I say this a lot. I think the number one misconception around this team is that those two are the exact same. I think the number one misconception about this team is that they are just the closest ever.
I agree with that.
And everything that when's the last time you saw the two of them talk together?
In the locker room after McDermott's 100th win or whatever. That was
Terry Pagula brought them in and gave them both footballs.
Yes.
When have they gone to a podium together?
They don't.
Do they ever present a united front?
Not really.
They all they each go to their own corner of the media world.
Yeah.
McAfee here, pardon my take here.
Yeah.
This idea that they are just 100% in lockstep. I don't know why you.
But I will say, from a draft perspective.
Okay, from a draft perspective.
There's probably not a player they're taking without Sean McDermott saying, I want that guy.
I'm saying
especially on defense.
I'm saying that's not right.
On defense?
I'm saying that is not correct. That is not correct.
But I don't know how McDermott. I think we can all agree McDermott has more power in the organization.
I have no idea.
I think he does. I think now.
I have no idea.
What Mark has had, I think Mark had 3 really good points and a couple I don't follow. The idea that he has now surrounded himself with younger play callers that he can that don't overstep their boundaries. They move on from Leslie Frazier. He gets thrown under the bus for 13 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And by Leslie Frazier. And then he takes over play calling. And now he's got Bobby Babich, who, I don't know, intermittently, he's just taking over play calling when it seems to suit him.
Right.
And Joe Brady was in the system. He was the guy in waiting. So offense, I'm less inclined to blame Sean McDermott for what's happening on offense. But defense, to me, I've got a lot of problems with their scheme that makes Poona Ford not playable, but then be a Pro Bowler the next year.
And Tim Settle.
How
about the Tim Settle?
This is not to me, I said this last week. I am okay if the conversation continues about Sean McDermott's not going anywhere. I'm good with that. Sean McDermott needs a veteran defensive coordinator who is going to change the system. Sean McDermott's defensive system hasn't changed in 18 years. A lot has changed in the NFL in 18 years. A lot has. I think they need a new defensive system. Yep. I don't necessarily think they need a new head coach. But listen, I don't disagree with you either.
How many good players they have?
Not that many. They really don't. And I know, I'm going to say, I feel like I know for a fact that because of the little digs that Sean has made in the media, that he doesn't really think he's got a great team either.
No, he doesn't think he has a championship roster.
No.
The GM said yes, maybe because he feels like he has
to.
And then McDermott did not say yes.
How does the GM say no? It's his roster. You can't say no.
Right. Well, I do not think every draft pick is run by Sean McDermott.
I also don't agree. I don't think every draft pick is, but I do think...
I don't think the depth guys are. I don't think the second, the third, and the fourth. I think the GM is... I think the coach is like a lot of people, which is like, hey, here... We even kind of broke it down recently. Like, we talk about it. I like this player. I like this about this and this about that. You think a receiver comes in with red flags about not showing up to meetings on time? You think McDermott wants that guy?
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably wants a different guy.
Yeah.
So... You think he wanted every single defensive piece that they picked this past year? Because I don't think he did.
But I will say this.
I think he wanted some speed for his offense.
There is an archetype of the types of players, especially on the defensive line, they go for.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know whose archetype that is. I feel like it's McDermott's.
803-0550. It's Buffalo Bills game day. Hey, if the Bills win today, is everybody ready for 8-4? You guys are writing their obituary here.
A little bit.
Hey, any win today is a good win. Any win today is a good win. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. Good point here. There's now a cook on the team and a Cooks. The cook is in the kitchen. What happens when Cooks scores?
Too many cooks in the kitchen?
Brandon cooks up 6. All right. Sal on the other side. Here on Buffalo Bills Game Day. Back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
Game day for the Buffalo Bills as they try to get back into the win column today on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Barnes Firm Injury Report: injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Buffalo will have to make do without both of their starting offensive tackles, Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, both out for this game, along with Terrell Bernard and Curtis Samuel. Samuel placed on injured reserve, the Bills signing fellow receiver Gabe Davis to that roster spot. 3 players questionable for the Bills today: tight end Dalton Kincaid, receiver Joshua Palmer, and offensive lineman Tylen Grable. The Bills also elevated linebacker Balen Spector and tight end Kaleki Latu from the practice squad for this game. As for the Steelers, they will be without offensive lineman Broderick Jones and defensive tackle Derek Harmon for this contest. Jones additionally was placed on injured reserve yesterday. Aaron Rodgers, still dealing with a broken wrist, will start under center against the Bills today. We'll have coverage of Bills and Steelers all day as we get you ready for the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Weather for today's game looks like it'll be about 37 degrees. However, some wind could be a factor, up to 20 miles an hour today. Weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. Around the NFL, Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart will be good to go under center for Monday night against the New England Patriots. Dart had been dealing with a concussion. Retired Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow had his comeback attempt thwarted, denied by an injury after Ragnow failed a physical trying to return to the team. Ragnow retired back in June. This update is brought to you by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
I do believe we can win a championship with this roster.
On Wednesday, Brandon said he believed that the roster was of championship quality or championship caliber. After a performance like that, what is your confidence level that that is indeed the case?
I love these players. I love these players. I do. I love the guys in that locker room.
It is Buffalo Bills game day. Bills and Steelers on the way. Some of your locker room audio, that's from pre-trade deadline and then post-trade. Actually, I saw post-trade deadline because Bean was asked those questions after the deadline, which came and went, and they lost to Miami. And after that performance against Miami, that's when McDermott made those comments. It is Bills and Steelers today, 4:25 from Pittsburgh. A Pittsburgh team that has some decent wins. They beat the Colts. They beat the Patriots. Those are 2 teams that are likely going to the playoffs, but also some bad losses, and they're an offense that's kind of...
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah, but the Steelers or what?
If you were at a wedding with your girlfriend, somebody came up to you and said, "Are you guys going to get married?" And you go, "I love my girlfriend."
Mm-hmm.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Well, it's weird to ask if you're going to get married.
True, but people do it.
They do.
Hey, you guys are going to get married? When are you guys tying the knot? You know, I love my girlfriend. She's the best.
Yeah. This is a lesson. You're not supposed to ask that, folks.
Correct.
Hey, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, don't ask the kids that.
Yeah, mostly grandparents. Don't ask.
Don't ask the kids that. Put them in a tough spot.
Yeah. Don't make somebody answer a question like that, you know?
Right. Sal Capaccio joining us from Pittsburgh on the Western Hotline. Sal, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. On the field right now, guys. Standing here on the Bills sideline, actually, and wanted to get a good feel for what this field was like. They played a game here yesterday, Miami at Pitt. They played 4 high school championship games here last week, but I was told the field was resodded last week.
Okay.
So it looks pretty good right now, but you know, this is a field that's obviously known for not being very great conditions. We've seen some of the games in the past, but as of right now, I would say it looks like a good, old school grass, field. When I say old school, I mean like kind of not muddy or anything like that, but you walk out there and it's grass and you get that smell, you get that look. I will say though, on the sidelines, once you get about maybe 5 yards into the sideline, it turns to turf for the players to stand on. So it's mainly grass for the right outside the white borders, and then it turns to turf. So it's not going to be like they're going to be sloppy on the sidelines standing around either.
How about the weather report, Sal? What are we looking at today?
Yeah. Well, it was raining when we got on our bus from the hotel to here. It's about a 15-minute drive. The rain came in, and I looked. I said, "Oh, geez, how long is this going to last?" It didn't last very long. Very quick band. So I think the rain is done. It shouldn't rain here. It is very cloudy. The rain has pretty much stopped since I just started on the phone with you guys. It is windy, though, guys. It's windy here. And it's going to be low 40s throughout the pregame. And I think, like, right when kickoff goes, it's going to drop a little bit into the high 30s and then low 30s by the end of the game. So you're looking probably mid-30s for most of the game. But it's pretty chilly. I would say it's not quite as windy as the Buccaneers game at home for the Bills, but it's breezy for sure.
Injury report, Sal. Let's talk about who will miss this game and who we are waiting to find out about. So we know the 2 tackles, right? No Spencer Brown, no Deion Dawkins, no Terrell Bernard, no Curtis Samuel. And Samuel going to the IR. But we'd seen Ian Rappaport report that both Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman are active. We have to wait to see if that's actually official. But so with the elevations we've seen, what are we looking for? Who are we really waiting to find out about?
Well, Kaleki Latu was elevated, tight end, so I would think that would mean maybe that Dalton Kincaid is inactive. It doesn't have to mean that, though. You could maybe see if Dalton Kincaid, how he, could be insurance against him in warmups or something like that. But generally, when you see a tight end active or elevated and you already have 3 on the roster, it means one of them is going to be out. We know that that's been the case and how they've played it recently. So he was elevated. And then Valen Spector was elevated. That's mainly for Terrell Bernard, obviously, guys. Not to play for Terrell Bernard. Shaq Thompson will play for Terrell Bernard, most likely at middle linebacker. And then you'll have Dorian Williams, who will play a lot more in those base defense sets that the Bills will play probably against the Steelers here today. And therefore, you need someone to take those special teams reps, along with, Joe Andreessen also playing special teams at the linebacker spot. So Valen Spector gets elevated. So I would think the biggest ones are Dalton Kincaid and then Joshua Palmer, guys. We don't know what his status is now. What Ian Rappaport reported about both Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman, no surprise to me about Keon Coleman. I mean, if he wasn't active, we'd really be having discussions about what happened now again because Sean McDermott kind of made it clear that last Thursday, the only reason he didn't play was because of the turnaround time. There was no disciplinary issue. So if he didn't play today, there would have been something else that happened. So obviously, no surprise there. Brandon Cooks coming into this game, how much does he know of the playbook? He's been in a lot of systems. He'll be able to, do a lot of different things the Bills will ask him to do if they keep it simple and say, just go here, do that, and relate it to things he's done before. But I do wonder what that means about Joshua Palmer. So obviously, we'll have to see about that as we get towards the game.
Sal Capaccio joining us from Pittsburgh. On the Steelers side of things, we know that Aaron Rodgers is playing with some broken bones in his left wrist, so he'll be battling through that. Yeah. They're also missing some big pieces on their offensive and defensive line that were ruled out early in the week.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Broderick Jones, their left tackle. He has a neck injury, and he's been placed on injured reserve, so you hope that, everything's okay with that young man, but it's a big loss for them. The Bills are losing their 2 tackles. They're losing their tackle. I would say it's a bigger loss for the Bills considering how the level of play, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown. But, Broderick Jones has been up and down anyway. I've talked to people in Pittsburgh who say, yeah, I mean, you don't want to lose your left tackle, but they've pretty much, had guys that maybe have stepped in and played as well as him anyway in the past. So we'll see. They've had a bit of a shuffle on their offensive line this year. Derek Harmon's a big loss for them, I think, up front. He is a defensive tackle, and going into the draft last year, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought maybe the Bills could really be eyeing Derek Harmon of Oregon. He gets drafted by the Steelers in the first round. He had an injury to start the year. He came back. They were really leaky against the run early in the year. He came back. I'm not saying it's because of Derek Harmon, but when he's been on the field, they've been much better at stopping the run. And now, he's out today, so maybe that's something the Bills will want to take advantage of. But they get Alex Highsmith back. That's going to help them a lot. They still have Cam Hayward. They still have T.J. Watt and Craig Herbig, obviously. As far as Rodgers is concerned, guys, I mean, it's a big story here today because, he's dealing with the broken wrist. He has fractures, multiple, I guess. I don't know, one, however you want to determine it, whatever the official diagnosis and whatever reports are out there. He's going to wear a big black brace on that wrist. And the big thing to watch for today, he did not really take, from my understanding, many snaps under center during practice all week. He's been basically in shotgun all week at practice. So I wonder if he's going to be able to take any snaps under center. And I just think that really kind of limits your offense on what you want to do. And as far as, the play action game especially, which is something that he's very good at.
And limiting an offense that was already limited feels like an interesting choice for the Steelers to play a quarterback that can't really move as it is, Sale. But this is also a Bills defensive line that since Michael Hoyt's injury has not generated a lot of pressure, Sale. How do you, if you're the Bills, especially without Terrell Bernard in the lineup, who's probably your best blitzing linebacker, how do the Bills maybe flip their fortunes a little bit? I know Joey Bosa's injury matters to this, but they just have not, Sale, generated enough pressures that have led to sacks.
Yeah, I would caution Bills fans today, Nate, to not think about the pressure numbers as much because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball quickly. And you're not going to be able to really get there. I think blitzing today might be just kind of foolish, to be honest with you, in certain situations, in most situations, because Aaron Rodgers, guys, has the shortest, lowest, however you want to say it, average length of completions in this league this year, under 4 yards of completion, I believe it is. So that means you take all his completions, the average completion travels in the air less than 4 yards. They dump it down. He throws handoffs is what he does. And if you're going to do that, that's quick game. That's first read. I mean, you want the Bills to get pressure, sure. I just don't know how you can do it against something like that. So in those situations, though, when they do have third and long situations, you're going to have to win your battles one-on-one, and that's what it's going to have to be because I don't think the Steelers are going to want to push the ball downfield. And if you can keep more guys in coverage, then you can have guys rally to the football when it's caught underneath you. And the other reason why I don't think the Steelers, on top of that, would be the Rodgers pushing the ball downfield is because of Rodgers' situation. Do they want him sitting in the pocket with a broken wrist and someone taking a shot on him and he has to stand back there? I think Aaron Rodgers is going to want to get rid of this ball quickly today.
Sal Capaccio. Sal, let's talk about the two tackles, what the plan is for the replacements for Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, how the Bills might manage. We could talk, of course, the run game, how much it affects it, and, of course, the pass game. So what will the plan be at left tackle and right tackle?
So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what we get here, guys. I think Ryan Vandermark plays at one of the spots. I just don't know which one. And I don't know if it's going to be Tylan Grable or Alec Anderson at the other spot. I think Alec Anderson might be one of the tackles here today. We're going to find out. We're going to see how they line up. I mean, they have some options here, and this is why you have a guy like Alec Anderson on your roster who's been versatile. And I've said for a while, as you guys know, yes, I know he's mainly an interior guy, but he plays all five positions. And if you can put Alec Anderson out there as a tackle, now granted, it's not ideal, right? I mean, it's Alec Anderson, it's not Spencer Brown, it's not Deion Dawkins, but, you know, that's going to be really interesting if they decide to do that. And then maybe Tylan Grable becomes your swing tackle in case something were to happen. There goes this PA system, guys. Sorry about that. But anyway, I think it's really interesting how the Bills want to play this today. I do think Ryan Vandermark is going to play one of the tackles. I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing left tackle because he's been on this roster. He's played that before. And then at right tackle, I don't know if it's going to be Alec Anderson or Tylan Grable, and then the other one might be a guy you just have to kind of put in there if something were to happen. They did activate, obviously, Tylan Grable yesterday, so we know that he's going to be, in some capacity, part of the roster here today.
Sal Capaccio from Pittsburgh.
And by the way, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question completely, Jeremy. You asked about pass game and run game. I just think the Bills will also have to play a little quick game today because, I mean, you're talking about backup tackles against T.J. Watt and Craig Herbig and that group, and the Steelers are going to, I mean, they're going to look at everything the Bills have had trouble with this year, which means basically like uncovered rushers, rushers from different spots, and they're going to come after Josh Allen. They know he's been beat up. They know that they had a problem protecting him. I think the Bills are going to have to run quick game, but the biggest thing today is I think the Bills just have to run the ball. This might be, honestly, like just run the ball 40 times today and get everybody involved. The Steelers have, at times this year, just been not very good against the run. They have been good other times. They shut Jonathan Taylor down. But if the Bills can lean into James Cook and run the ball, that would take so much pressure off those tackles.
Yeah. Sal Capaccio joining us here from Pittsburgh ahead of Bills Steelers, a 4:25 start. All right, Sal, enjoy it, and whatever. We'll see. It's of all the Bills games, sometimes with this team, we don't know what we're going to get, and I would say like this game is the ultimate edition of that. I have no idea what to expect out there today.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's fascinating from both sides. I mean, I think Steelers fans would tell you the exact same thing you just said about their team today, Jeremy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sal.
All right.
Sal Capaccio joining us from Pittsburgh.
Sal made a really strong argument to I don't know why the Steelers would be playing Aaron Rodgers today. Kind of seems like he's the same as their backup, and he can get hit and fall and hold onto the ball and stretch it on the field. But it's the locker room. They respect him so much. He's got to play.
He got more respect than before, per Rappaport. Yep. Break time on the other side. More of your phone calls. It's Buffalo Bills Game Day. We'll be back in a snap. Brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so, I mean, you just kind of take it like every other week. You never know if you're going to be playing right or left. And, today at practice, I got most of the reps on the left, so I'm going to get my sets on the right after practice and just see how it goes and be ready for either or what happens.
Ryan Vandemark, Locker Room Audio, Bills and Steelers, and that's Ryan Vandemark, who might be playing left, might be playing right. Be listening next hour during Countdown to Kickoff for Tailgate Trivia presented by TSC Buffalo. You could win a Buffalo Bills autographed merch item courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. Jeremy and Nate, Locker Room Audio, brought to you by Reimer Home Services. Homes rely on the Rhino. Get a couple calls in here before we send things off to Countdown to Kickoff, which comes up next. John in Rochester is up. Hey, John, good morning. Good afternoon, rather.
Hey, guys. I got to tell you, I know Brandon Devine is getting a lot of criticism, but how can you argue with the success they've been averaging up until this point 11.5 wins a year, and I think that he's going after stability over the long run. And one of these years, and I think this year, it could break to win the Super Bowl. But and I'll give you an example. When the Bills were at their peak in the Super Bowl years, my philosophy was I would rather go back to 4 Super Bowls in a row than to win one and not to go back. What are your thoughts on that philosophy?
I think looking back, that's a nice thought. I think going forward, you are alone in that thought. No. Not here for, stability. They would not be unstable by winning one. It's to me, John, it's been sold as some idea like, well, then what would happen? You'd be good again. Last year was supposed to be a year of instability. It was a chosen step back, and they won 14 games. Why did they win? Because their quarterback is amazing. Would a lot of other teams love to win 11 games a year? Absolutely they would. If they had a stud quarterback, a lot of them would. Not all of them, but a lot of them would. Some teams are run exceedingly well. Some are run poorly. It's not everyone's in the same playing field. But no. You tell me 4 Super Bowls and lose all 4? You think Bills fans would sign up to have the franchise identity be 0-8 in the Super Bowl? No. I think you're alone in that.
I would agree.
Personally. You're probably not alone. You probably have a couple people.
There's a couple, yeah.
But no thanks. No. And stability, Josh Allen's going to turn 30. Like, you had your stability. Now's the time to say, like, stability, schmability. That's why he wanted to trade for a stud receiver at the deadline. 8030550 is our phone number. All right, that's going to wrap for us. The Countdown to Kickoff portion of the program comes your way next. Bills and Steelers today. Massive playoff implications for both of these teams. And we'll see who comes out on top. No idea what to expect given the injuries to this Bills team and the predictable nature of the Steelers. Here's one thing I do know. Mike Tomlin will punt on the plus side of the field.
At least once. Probably more than once.
He can't wait to do it. He just can't wait to punt. 4th and 2 at the Bills 46. Oh, he can't wait to kick that ball away. I'm very excited for him. Countdown to Kickoff comes your way next here on the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Game day for the Buffalo Bills as they're on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bills looking to remain in control of wild card positioning. The Barnstrom injury report for this game: injured. For help, call 1-800-8-million. The Bills will have to make do without both of their starting offensive tackles. Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, both out for today's game, along with linebacker Terrell Bernard and receiver Curtis Samuel. Samuel was placed on injured reserve, the Bills signing fellow wideout Gabe Davis to his roster spot. The Bills also have 3 players questionable in tight end Dalton Kincaid, receiver Joshua Palmer, and offensive lineman Tylen Grable. The Bills also elevated linebacker Balin Spector and tight end Kaleki Latu from the practice squad for today's game. As for Pittsburgh, they will be without offensive lineman Broderick Jones. The left tackle also was placed on injured reserve yesterday. Defensive tackle Derek Harmon also out for the Steelers for today's game, while Aaron Rodgers, still dealing with broken bones in his left wrist, will make the start under center against Buffalo this afternoon. We'll have coverage of Bills and Steelers all day as we get ready for the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Weather for today's game looks like it'll be about 37 degrees, cloudy, some wind being a bit of a factor, with winds up to 20 miles an hour today. Weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. Around the NFL, 7 games going on right now in the 1 o'clock slate as things are just kicking off. The 49ers taking on the Browns, the Jaguars squaring off with the Titans, the Houston Texans against the Indianapolis Colts, the Saints on the road against the Dolphins, the Jets hosting the Falcons, the Cardinals on the road against Tampa Bay, while the Panthers host the Rams. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome in. We're getting you ready for the 4:25 p.m. kick between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers with Chris Brown and Eric Wood calling the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Countdown to Kickoff is presented by Northtown Automotive. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Northtown. Good afternoon, and time now for the Northtown Hyundai pregame huddle. Northtown Hyundai, Western New York's premier Hyundai dealership. Joe, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. It's not morning.
It's not morning. It's the 1 o'clock window is open.
Yes.
It's a weird week because it's Thanksgiving week, so there's like 5 games today.
Yep.
Not a lot of football. Not a lot of good football either. But we'll keep you up to date with some of the scores going on across the league. We'll also get connected with our fans, powered by Verizon. Get to your local Verizon store to check out all of the latest deals, so we'll get connected with you. But Joe, it's kind of a we've had a few days. We've had the mini bye week to recalibrate. And now the Bills will be without their 2 starting tackles against a pair of really good pass rushers. This is a bad Steelers defense with the strength of it coming at the edges. So, the only thing they do well, the Bills are going to have a tough time, I think, stopping or slowing down this week. But all in all, Joe, this is not a good Steelers team. They are coming off of, I don't know.
Well, I think they are not a good team on paper, and then you add in the fact that they are going to be missing their left tackle today. Not to say that Broderick Jones is near the same caliber of player that Deion Dawkins or Spencer Brown are, but nonetheless, they'll be down to the backup tackle. And I think even if you thought, they're feisty, they're the Steelers, Tomlin Steelers. They always, what was last week against Chicago? Well, how are they in the game? Somehow they get Caleb Williams to fumble the ball in his own end zone and they jump on top of it. Like, that's Pittsburgh. They're going to return a kick or they're going to block a punt. They're that team. No idea how they're in the game, but they always find their way to be in the game. But, man, today doing it with a one-armed quarterback who's not going to be able to take snaps from under center.
Yep.
When Arthur Smith is an offensive coordinator.
It's a choice.
That loves to go under center and run a bunch of tight ends. And I do not see how Rodgers is going to be able to do everything he needs to when
I even think just protecting himself is going to be hard.
Making it through the game. What happens when Greg Rousseau is falling on top of you and you got to put your left hand down to catch yourself?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? You got 3 fractures in your wrist.
I think that they're intending to have the ball out so quickly that it won't be an issue.
And that
if I
makes
were the Bills,
them one-dimensional.
If I were the Bills, this would be the game that I run more two-man coverage than I have all season.
Yeah.
Lock everybody up man-to-man. Do not allow the quick, easy throws.
Yep.
And have 2 deep at 2 high safeties, deep back.
Yep.
Cover 0 underneath, and just figure it out. Because you're not rushing 4 to me is the only play today. I think blitzing is fool's gold. I think the ball's going to be out too quick. They're going to be in shotgun all day.
Yep.
Don't let them get their little 2 or 3 yard, arrow routes. Don't let them have those in-breaking routes, the slants. Keep that stuff to a minimum, and I think that's how you end up, slowing down a Steelers offense that I don't think is very good in the first place.
That's right.
And they're also, they don't give the ball to their best players. They don't throw the ball enough to DK Metcalf, and they certainly don't turn around and hand the ball off enough to Jalen Warren. They would rather give the ball to, it makes no sense. Them giving the ball to Kenneth Gainwell at the percentage they do. The last 2 weeks, they've basically been a 50-50 split in terms of touches. Now, Gainwell does more of his damage in the pass game, 6 catches last week, 7 the week before, but he's averaging 9.5 touches on the ground over the last 2 weeks, where Jalen Warren is right around that same number. So they're not giving the ball to their best running back enough, and I think that should play into the hands of the Bills defensively, who obviously don't defend the run particularly well.
And part of what I think is kind of the mismatch here is, especially today, if they have to do even more quick game. Rodgers getting the ball out as fast as anybody in the league, depth of target, lowest of his career.
Lowest in the NFL.
This is not the DK Metcalf style. He build it up, right? Longer developing plays. Give him time to
he's getting Joe Brady tunnel screens.
Right. And that's just not a fit. It's not a fit for Metcalf and the style of receiver he is, which is why I think you're not seeing much from him at all. In his last 4 games, he is not top 50 yards in his last 4 games. 6, 35, 49, and 22. It's just not an efficient play. They do not have a depth of weapons behind him. They try to use the tight ends. Who I could see getting a lot of run today, or at least the Steelers trying to get a lot of run. I'm not sure it's something to be that threatened by, but Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
They're going to be throwing quick balls to Jonnu Smith because he's kind of their yak guy, especially at tight end. Maybe they'll do it with Darnell Washington too, just because he's so hard to tackle at 312 pounds as a tight end. But it's just not an offense that scares me in the first place. And I think you are exaggerating all their problems even more by having Rodgers play through this injury. It's not that the Bills don't have their own issues on offense. I mean, I really do not know what to expect from the Bills and their answer to not having Spencer Brown or Deion Dawkins. One, with just who it's going to be, and 2, how they employ a game plan without guys like that. So when I look at both offenses at the moment, I think this has been said, but I think I'm expecting a slow game, a lot of running, not a lot of scoring.
I love the under in this game.
With Josh Allen, there's always potential, I guess, for him to just start throwing some YOLO balls down the field and have that work. But I think this is a pretty careful game plan by both offenses.
I think this is a ton of Khalil Shakir today. I think it's a ton of James Cook today. I think the Bills are going to do everything in their power to make sure they are protecting Josh Allen. I think that means more. I think you could, even if Alec Anderson doesn't start at tackle today, I could see them using him a ton as a 5th, 6th offensive lineman. They've really gone away from using him as a 6th offensive lineman with the addition of Jackson Hawes. I think adding that 6th offensive lineman today to help could be a big play for the Bills and for Joe Brady. I would be genuinely shocked if Brady made the same mistake he did last week by not protecting Josh Allen and doing it 2 weeks in a row. I would almost bet my life that you see way more 6-man protections this week and more chipping, additional help inside the backfield. The fact that they didn't do it at all last week, I thought was pretty criminal.
Yeah.
It was one. I said this earlier to Jeremy. I thought last week was one of the worst called offensive game plans in Josh Allen's career.
Especially given that the things that you needed to adjust to were made pretty clear in the first half of the game. And to go the entirety of the second half and still have the arrogance to say, no, we don't need to keep a running back or a tight end or Alec Anderson in to block extra with these Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, elite pass rushers that are consistently getting through to Josh Allen, to not adjust to that makes it even worse. Like, there's one thing Sean McDermott has done so far this year, especially when he's been calling defensive plays. There's been a bunch of games where they have come out and not looked great in the first 2 quarters. And then they'll either throw an extra linebacker out there, or they'll play more man coverage, or sometimes it's a little bit of a softer adjustment. But you've seen many games this year. The Atlanta game is one of them, where Miami is another, where defense didn't perform in the first half. Sean McDermott makes some sort of adjustment, and they perform better in the second half. That did not happen with Joe Brady. Did not get that from the offense last time against Houston. So now that you've had 10 days to prepare for it, and I'm sure a head coach that has made it very clear to Joe Brady, because he's done it in public.
Sauce Gardner being helped off the field, putting no weight on his left leg. Something to keep an eye on for Indianapolis, who, by the way, I think is going to lose this game. I think they are not winning that division.
Yeah. Well, if they lose this game, they only have a 1-game lead. So anyways, McDermott many times throughout the last 2 weeks has mentioned we can't have Josh Allen getting hit 12 times. I think it's no doubt he's made it clear to Joe Brady that what happened last game cannot happen again.
Ever again.
So I would expect exactly what you said. Like, I think Alec Anderson is probably playing right tackle today. He played almost 1,300 snaps at right tackle in college. He didn't play any other position more than 167. Like, that was his spot coming into the league. So I think you probably see him there. You probably see Vandermark at left tackle. And I would expect a lot of Jackson Hawes, Reggie Gilliam, Ty Johnson being guys that are going to be protecting as the extra guy in a game where you are playing a TJ Watt, who is still pretty good. Highsmith.
He's been disappointing this year.
He's been disappointing, but he's
TJ Watt's only got 7.5 sacks in the season.
It's disappointing by his standards. He's still a good pass rusher.
He's still a good pass rusher.
And Urbig is one of the highest pressure rates in the league. So they've got guys on that side. Not the guys you saw against Houston, but they got guys.
Agreed. And the thing I'll say about this defense, too, and we'll get into more of some of the numbers on the Steelers' defense in the next segment. But, I mean, 5th in sacks and 1st in forced fumbles. So they're going right now, which is, I would call it a weakness right now for the Bills. Where they are is they're having trouble up front protecting Josh Allen, even though going into last week, they were the number 1 rated pass protecting offensive line in football going into last week. But it was their failure to adjust. And I thought Houston's ability to just keep pressing the Bills. And what I mean by that is like, okay, well, you want to keep showing the same look over and over again. We're just going to keep running the same look over and over again until you stop, and the Bills were unable to stop it. Right. And they didn't do a lot against the Bills on offense, especially in the second half, obviously. But, like, you talked about them doing a good job, like, changing and adjusting in the second half. The Bills' defense, they can't afford to start slow and adjust. They need to start getting out of the gates quicker defensively. They need to, and again, maybe this isn't the game you want to judge their pass rush. I'm totally fine because I know how quick the ball is likely to come out with Aaron Rodgers today. But man, this defense has got to start getting after the quarterback. They are not generating enough pressure defensively rushing 4. They're not generating enough pressure rushing 5. And right now, Joey Bosa, with the injury to his left hand, is definitely hampering him. I mean, there's no doubt he's being hampered by the injury to his left hand. But they need Greg Rousseau to start stepping up. I know the pressure rate has been there for him. He's been a very solid run defender. He's probably their only good run defender right now on defense. But, you know, I look across this defensive line, Joe, and it's their defensive line. They've got some injuries. Obviously, Noah Oliver, that hurts them a lot. But, like, watching the film of TJ Sanders, I'm watching a guy that they can't really play at defensive tackle, so they've started moving him to defensive end.
All right.
The second-round pick they traded up for is getting blown off the ball on double teams at such a rate that the problem is that they need to play him on defensive tackle because the same thing's happening to Jordan Phillips, who's getting blown off the ball every time he faces a double team. So, like, they are in such an precarious spot defensively on their defensive line. Is they're not performing well. The displacement, they're getting blown off the football on a regular basis. They've got to figure out, and, you know, I've been thinking a lot about, you know, the Tim Settles and some of these other guys that have gone elsewhere and have had success. Poona Fords, like, who couldn't break the lineup here in Buffalo, but are doing incredible things and have gotten signed twice since leaving the Bills. They just rely. The problem with this defensive scheme, and I talked about this with Jeremy last segment about, like, I'm good if Sean McDermott's this coach for the next 5 years, whatever, I'm fine with it. They need a dramatic schematic overhaul on the defensive side of the football. They rely so much on one-gap defenders. So that means across the defensive line, if everyone's responsible for one gap, if one guy's off, it screws everything up. And right now, they're too easy to displace. There's not enough movement or push along the defensive line. Their linebackers are not strong enough to break off of blocks. It's the perfect storm of bad run defense. And I, as much as they can make adjustments defensively, they just don't have the horses. They don't have the scheme or the horses defensively. Right now, we're talking more about scheme, offensive and defensively, than at any time during Sean McDermott's era here as head coach.
Well, again, the good news is you might not have an offense that's really going to push you today on all that. Maybe,
perhaps not.
Maybe. I mean, they're going to try to run the ball a lot with Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Warren up the middle, and the Bills have not shown an ability to do that. I don't think they really have the horses to do this on a week-to-week basis. And some rushing attacks are going to be more threatening than others. Indy, for instance. Like, there's only so much you can do. You play this rush attack with Pittsburgh, and without Terrell Bernard, to have Shaq Thompson, who I think is a better, more physical, downhill, run-defending middle linebacker, I think they actually will get the benefit of a better fit of player, even though he's not the listed starter on a week-in and week-out basis. So I almost feel like personnel-wise, they might actually be more set up today to make stops like that at the second level, at the very least. You make a good point about the first level, and I don't know where they're at with all of that. I mean, not having Ed Oliver and the guys playing out of position and bringing Jordan Phillips back again, I don't have a ton of confidence in that group, but I do have more right now at the second and third level than I did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just, the Bills defense, it probably hasn't had the appropriate amount of criticism because of how inconsistent the offense has been, and I think all eyes have been over there, but also rightfully so. And I look at this Bills offense, and I say the highs are pretty high, but the lows are dramatically low with this offense. And to go from 13-44 to 19, I think speaks a little to the issues that this offense has had finding consistency. They are not a consistent unit. They aren't consistently finding answers against blitz and against pressure. And last week, their inability to adjust on the fly. And it feels like their game script. This goes back to me, even to the Bucs game, where sometimes you just have to throw out the game script. Because they start that game, what happens? The offense gets the ball at the 3-yard line, and they start off in shotgun throwing 3 straight times to start that game. Why? Because all of the criticism the previous week was against the Dolphins. Why are you taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands? You have to throw the football. Everyone knows you're running the football on first down. So we have to have our game script, start the game with 3 passes, and we can't get it protected, and there's no pressure. There's no way to adjust to the pressure. And now Josh Allen throws an interception on his 3-yard line to start the game. Luckily, the defense was able to force that to a field goal. But I guess my point there is, like, I need someone in that position to say, we got to throw this game script out. We need to get 5 yards on first down. Let's just run the football. So I think I have a lot of complaints about the adjustment ability, the consistent down in and down out. Obviously, the predictability is a big piece of this offense. They're very predictable. They run a lot of the same plays over and over again.
Mesh especially is getting old.
Duo.
That's been a big talking point the last 2 weeks is how much they run mesh. I think just the overall creativity, especially in your most important downs. You want to run plays like that on first and second down? Fine. But when it's third, fourth down in the biggest spots of the game, and that's the stuff you're running, I think it says a lot about the level of coordinator that you're currently seeing. And it's not like this is the first time this has happened. When he was in Carolina, a lot of the similar complaints were coming up into that second year where he ultimately got fired by the Panthers. And now you're seeing history repeat itself a little bit, even though this is a team with a better quarterback than Carolina had, and you're still seeing that. Like, where's the pivot? Like, that's about as big a criticism as you can have as an offensive play caller is when the league figured out what you do, how do you respond to that? And we're still kind of waiting for that answer, I think, from Joe Brady. It's one thing if you're Mike McDaniel, and I think this was a story about him and his offense, that it got figured out, right? Like all the pre-snap motion and the quick throws and Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, like the whole way that Miami offense was run, defenses learned it. They knew how to defend it. And then when it was time for McDaniel to decide, all right, what is my alternative going to be? What is my pivot going to be? You are limited in how and what you can really do because your quarterback is so limited.
Yep.
Like, you can't have long developing plays because Tua is so injury prone. You can't attack certain areas of the field because he has limited arm strength. Like, you're put in a box when that's your quarterback to figure out what your next move is going to be. But when your quarterback is Josh Allen, like, the world is your oyster.
Yep.
You should be able to do anything. I mean, they have limitations at wide receiver, so if you want to mention that as a thing that limits them and limits Joe Brady from, hey, I can't attack down the field the way I might want because I don't have the horses for that. So that might be a valid excuse, but I think when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback,
a lot of those
it's got to
excuses
be
go out the
more.
window.
It's got to be more than what we've seen. Because defenses have, I think, learned Joe Brady, and I don't know what the pivot is eventually going to be, or if we ever even see one. Maybe they'll just keep beating their heads against the wall, throwing these tunnel screens to Khalil Shakir. That's the one specifically that teams have figured out.
Yes.
Teams are flying to Shakir the second that they get a whiff that this ball is going to him behind the line of scrimmage. You're actually seeing more of the Ty Johnson screens that are working out because I think they're a little bit more unpredictable.
Yeah.
You're not sure the ball is going out to Ty Johnson in the flat when he's moving out there. But if Shakir's moving in that way, like, defenses are onto you. So, I don't know. Well, and I also don't know that today's the day to see all this because I just think without your tackles, there might be only so much they can do. Without also maybe Josh Palmer, Dalton Kincaid too. Like, you're going to roll out there with 2 backup tackles, Keon Coleman and Brandon Cooks playing. You know, today might not be the day to go all in on how bad can you be Joe Brady. You didn't have an answer for what you should be doing differently on offense.
So while we're talking injuries, it's time now for the Barnes Firm Injury Update. Injured? For help, call 1-800-8-million. And to your point, the Bills' injury list is extensive. Terrell Bernard with his elbow injuries out. Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins both as out. You've got 3 questionables, but trending towards not playing, it looks like, with Dalton Kincaid with a hamstring. Josh Palmer with an ankle questionable, and Tylen Grable, who is elevated off of the IR this week, is also listed as questionable with a concussion. I did not know he was on the IR with a concussion, by the way. It seems
I think
like a couple extra roster spots. Basically, they've been using the IR that way.
I think you could argue this is the most injured they've been on offense going into a game with Josh Allen as their quarterback.
I would agree.
Right? Like, when in the Diggs years, Diggs was always healthy, right? Beasley was always healthy. Brown, for the most part, was. He had that 1 year. Like, offensive linemen, you've usually been pretty good. Dawkins, we've seen the list today, like how often he plays. He very rarely misses games. I cannot remember a game with Josh Allen as their quarterback where they are missing their best tight end, one of their best receivers, their best 2 offensive linemen. Like, they very rarely have to deal with injuries like this on that side of the ball.
All right, time now for Tailgate Trivia. It's presented by TSE Buffalo. Be the first caller to correctly answer our Tailgate Trivia question, and you'll win a Buffalo Bills autographed merch item, courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. All right, listen, I thought about making this one harder, but I feel like it's a little easy. You should get it.
Okay.
And, of course, if you call 716-221-4WGR, 716-221-4947 with the answer to this question and win, you will have a chance at some autographed merch courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. Okay, the Bills and Steelers, they've played some pretty memorable games, but to me, the most memorable was their Week 17 matchup in Orchard Park back in 2005. It was the 2004 season, but January 2005 with the trip to the playoffs on the line for the Bills. We all know the story. The Steelers sat all their starters in that play with their playoff spot already secured at 14-1 going into that game. And instead started Tommy Maddox at quarterback, and they set their 2 top running backs, Jerome Bettis and Deuce Staley. I forgot Deuce Staley was the backup running back in Pittsburgh. The question today, though, is which Steelers running back made his first career start and had his first career 100-yard game to lead the Steelers to a 29-24 victory over the Bills to end their playoff push in Week 17 of the 2004 season. The first correct caller wins. Again, call 716-221-4WGR, 716-221-4947. On tap next on Countdown to Kickoff, Sneaky Joe and I will take a deeper look at this week's opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next on tap is brought to you by Miller Lite, proud partner of the Buffalo Bills. It's Miller time.
Game day for the Buffalo Bills as they try to get back into the win column. They're on the road this afternoon against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Barnes from Injury Report, injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Buffalo will have to make do without both of their starting offensive tackles in Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, both players out for this game, along with linebacker Terrell Bernard and wide receiver Curtis Samuel. 3 players questionable for Buffalo here in tight end Dalton Kincaid, receiver Joshua Palmer, and offensive tackle Tylen Grable. The Bills also placed Samuel on injured reserve yesterday, signed receiver Gabe Davis to the active roster, and elevated linebacker Balin Spector and tight end Keleki Latu from the practice squad. As for the Steelers, they will be without offensive tackle Broderick Jones, who was placed on injured reserve, and defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Aaron Rodgers, still dealing with a broken wrist, will start under center against Buffalo today. We'll have coverage of Bills and Steelers all throughout the afternoon as we get you ready for the 4:25 kickoff from Pittsburgh with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth right here on the Buffalo Bills radio network. Weather for today's game looks like it'll be about 37 degrees, some wind being a factor in this one close to 20 miles per hour today. The weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. Around the NFL, there are 7 games going on right now, all of which are in the first quarter. Late in the first quarter, the 49ers up 7-0 on the Browns. The Jaguars lead the Titans 7-3. It is a 3-0 lead for the Texans over the Colts at the moment. The Dolphins holding a 7-0 lead on the Saints. And it's a scoreless tie between the Jets and the Falcons, as well as the Cardinals and the Buccaneers, while the Rams and Panthers are tied at 7. This update is brought to you by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Derek Kramer for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
I mean, I just got to be on the opportunity to be able to play with Josh. You can't pass up that opportunity. He's a special player. All you do is hear about this organization from afar being a special place and how they treat players. I mean, it's all about ball, so I'm thankful to be here for sure.
All right, there's your newest Buffalo Bill, Brandon Cooks, speaking about Josh Allen and his Bills debut this afternoon against the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff. It's presented, of course, by Northtown Automotive. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Northtown. Let's congratulate our Buffalo Red Zone Tailgate Trivia winner, Johnny from West Seneca, correctly answering Willie Parker. Ruined a pretty core childhood memory for me. I was at that game with my dad and remember walking back to the Galleria parking lot and thinking to myself, why, Dad? Like, why did the Bills suck so much? And, I was very upset. My dad, seeing me visually upset just kind of was like, yeah, son, like, you should get used to this. You should get used to this because this is how it goes.
He had a big run in that game, I remember. 58 yards.
Yes.
58 yards. Not a touchdown.
Not a touchdown. Yeah.
He did go for over 100.
Yeah, the fact that Deuce Staley was their second leading rusher that year, they had Deuce Staley and Jerome Bettis, and that was towards the end of Jerome Bettis' career.
Yep.
Obviously, Tommy Maddox and then Brian St. Pierre comes in late in that game. What a time to be alive, though. 2005.
James Harrison had a pick 6 in that game, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the team that Aaron Schatz's site has as the number 1 team to ever miss the playoffs by DVOA, I believe. The 04 Bills. So they won all those games down the stretch. Yeah, that's probably the worst Steelers memory that I have too. It's got to be that game.
The Stevie Johnson game's a close second.
The only thing, they were like 0-8 though when that happened.
Yeah, it kind of didn't matter.
It didn't really. Yeah, to the season it didn't matter, but that was a tough one too. Other than that, like, they've not really ever had a ton of super meaningful games.
No.
They did play in the playoffs, I guess, but everyone assumed the Bills were going to beat Mason Rudolph.
And they did.
And there was a game in 2019 where the Bills, I believe, clinched the division for the first time.
Against Duck Hodges.
Against Duck Hodges. There was the Tyler Kroft touchdown. So there have been a couple of games that have been a little bit meaningful.
Do you know who led this was, remember when I said that this was, I had a harder question that, but I decided to go with the easy one?
Yeah.
Do you know what the hard question was? Who led the Bills in receiving that day?
Against
Pittsburgh? No one would have gotten it.
The 2019 game?
2004.
2004, oh.
Nobody would have gotten it. So that's why I didn't. No.
Rookie Lee Evans?
Nope. Radio's Joe Kelly, you got a thought here? The Bills' leading receiver? It was Sam Aiken.
Because I'm looking at the box score now.
It was Sam Aiken.
Also, he had the most
receiving.
Catches. He had the most catches.
Oh, he didn't read it.
Evans was 2 for 63.
Okay.
Aiken was 4 for 52. But to have the most catches on the team, Sam Aiken. In like the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Sam Aiken.
By the way, one quick around the league note. So Matthew Stafford, I believe, coming into this game, had 2 interceptions on the season, and he's just thrown 2 picks on back-to-back drives. And the last one was a pick 6. So Carolina, who nobody thinks is good, is currently beating the Rams. And if they win this game, I think they're in first place in the NFC South.
This game, listen, and I expect the Rams to come back and win this game.
Yeah,
but
me too,
this
me too.
game,
In fact,
I think, is a
everyone bet
perfect. Woody Marks going into the locker room with a foot injury. That's a big injury for them. For the Texans, that is. I'll say this: the Rams, if they lose, there will be, to me, no real good team in the NFL. I think there are clusters of decent teams, like good teams. I think there's another cluster of, take it or leave it, any day, any week. They could be great, they can be bad. And then I think there's a ton of bad teams. I think there are 10 teams, maybe the most, like the largest number of teams that I can remember with the ability to potentially win a Super Bowl.
That is why I think, like, you know, the holidays the last couple of days, and you're seeing friends and family for the first time sometimes in a while, and whenever the Bills are coming up, it's like, man, what's wrong with them? What, they don't look good. This is not the year. And the one thing because I don't think they look great either. And I think they've got problems on both sides of the ball that are going to be tough to overcome. But my best case for here's why it could be the year is tell me who you'd pick to win the AFC right now. It's a simple question. Ask anybody who you pick to win the AFC right now, and it's
Denver?
Indy? Like, there's a question mark attached to the end of it. I've been saying Baltimore just because I think of the big 3 teams, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills, they're the most likely to host a game in the postseason. But how could you watch them right now and think that they are capable of going all... Like, they could, but they don't look like they're on the verge of that right now.
I think that the Ravens are right with the Browns as the worst team in that division.
They are, if the Bills win today, going to be in first place in that division, though, which is incredible.
I don't think that they are significantly better or even marginally better than the Browns. I think they are pretty close.
Are the Steelers not also that bad, too?
Steelers are also terrible.
Like, that division's just bad.
I think the Bengals are probably, right now, with a healthy Joe Burrow, the best team in the division, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Well, they have won their last 8 games. Joe Burrow is a starter.
All right, let's take a quick look at this week's opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's run through offense. 27th in total offense, 23rd in passing, 27th in rushing. It's just not a good unit. And then defensively, 28th in total defense, 32nd against the pass, 15th against a run. This is the team leading their division right now. They're bad. They're not a good football team. The Steelers are dead last, 32nd in average depth of target on offense. The Steelers defense is 4th in man coverage usage, with old defensive backs. I mentioned earlier the Steelers are 5th in sacks with 34 this season and 1st in forced fumbles with 14. And then here's the other key. Steelers defense on third down is 22nd in conversions given up, 29th on fourth down conversions given up. They give up a fourth down conversion on 75% of their fourth down plays defensively. So, yeah, not a good team. To me, it's just not a good football team. The Bills, even though they're injured, last week, who'd Steelers lose to last week?
They lost to the Bears.
The Bears, that's right, who were missing their top 3 linebackers in that game.
Yep.
To me, I don't think there's an excuse for the Bills to lose this game. The Bills need to figure out a way to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not good.
Their wins in the last month and a half here, some of them are like, how did you pull that off?
Yep.
How did they beat the Colts?
Don't know.
They beat the
How
Bengals.
did they beat the Patriots?
With Joe Flacco. How did they beat New England? Early in the season, they held Drake May to 14 points. But then they've got some of these other games. Like, remember the Dublin game against Minnesota, where Tomlin made some crazy bad decisions at the end that he got lucky with because he played Carson Wentz, and they won by 3
I remember
against
that
Vikings team.
Yep.
They got rolled by the Chargers, who have been dealing with a lot of injuries. They lost by double digits to Green Bay. They lost by 2 to Joe Flacco and the Bengals. So they really don't have a ton of... I guess they have a combo. They have a couple wins that look impressive, like how did you pull that off? And then they have some bad losses on top of it too, which is why they're so... They're predictable, and they're predictable in that they're unpredictable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I kind of know what to expect from them, and yet they always find themselves in these games. So the Bills, on the other hand, when they have played Pittsburgh, sometimes it's dumb. They lost an opener to Pittsburgh at home with a blocked punt. Yep, the Tomlin special. They also smoked the Steelers once here. Kenny Pickett's first start, right?
Smoked them.
Crushed them right out of the gate. So in this matchup, Tomlin versus McDermott and the Josh Allen era against the Steelers, same thing. It's you don't really know what you're going to get. I have no idea what to expect from today because of all the injuries. It could be a super close game, or honestly, I do think it's possible the Bills could just roll them.
I also think I would agree with the assessment.
And that, I think, says more about the Steelers than about the Bills.
Would agree. All right, on tap next on Countdown to Kickoff, we'll preview this week's quarterback matchup. Next on tap is brought to you by Miller Lite, proud partner of the Buffalo Bills. It's Miller time, but first, it's time for this week's player profile, Jackson Hawes.
You ever wonder about your Buffalo Bills, what they like, what they don't like, where they're from, where they went to school? Well, now you can find out. As Belknap Heating and Cooling presents this player profile. Here's Howard Simon.
Football seems to be working out for Bills tight end Jackson Hawes right now. The team's 5th-round pick in the draft last April has been dressing regularly and contributing on offense as a blocker and a pass catcher. Whenever football is done, Hawes should have a bright future ahead of him. After all, he has a bachelor's degree in economics from Yale University. The Ivy League school is where Hawes played football for 3 seasons before transferring to Georgia Tech for his final year of eligibility. Hawes wanted to help his draft status, and 1 year with the ACC's Yellow Jackets accomplished that. Hawes is a native of Salt Lake City, Utah. He had an outstanding high school career. He was named All-State, and by the time he graduated, was a 3-star prospect. At Yale, Hawes earned all Ivy League honors in 2022 and 2023. In 22, he had the game-winning touchdown catch against arch-rival Harvard. That victory clinched the Ivy League for the Bulldogs. In his 1 season with Georgia Tech, Hawes played in all 12 games, started 10, and had 16 catches for 195 yards. According to the Bills media guide, the 25-year-old Hawes' favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption. His first job was his lawn mowing business. His go-to breakfast spot is Waffle House. His favorite book, Count of Monte Cristo. Hawes' father, by the way, is an orthopedic trauma surgeon, and his mother has her law degree. Now you know a little more about Jackson Hawes.
The Buffalo Bills player profiles have been brought to you by Belknap Heating and Cooling. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring.
that back against the wall mindset, feeling like we've been in a situation like this, if not worse. We'd love to be 11-0 right now, as would everybody else in the NFL. That's why we play the game on the field, not on paper. And ultimately, again, it's our goal to go out there and win every single game, and we haven't done that. But again, every week's an opportunity to go out there and prove to ourselves that we do have what it takes.
It's Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Countdown to Kickoff is presented by Northtown Automotive. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Northtown. Time to preview this week's matchup at quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers will be making a start today for the Steelers after missing last week with a left wrist injury. So far this season, a 66.4 completion percentage with 1,969 passing yards, 19 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He has a yards per attempt average of 6.8, and he's got a passer rating of 97.7, which is 11th in the NFL, and a QBR of 44.2, which is 23rd in the NFL. He also has a yards per completion of 10.3, which is a career low for Aaron Rodgers. So there you go.
He's become a game manager, very much so, at this stage in his career. And he really... Let's be honest. He's been that for 3 years.
Yep.
The Achilles injury is not what did it. His last year in Green Bay, this is kind of what he was.
Yep.
Shorter passes, not throwing the ball as often and as efficiently. It's kind of what he was with the Jets when he did play, and it's definitely what he's been with Arthur Smith and the Steelers. So this is not a quarterback that scares me much anymore to go, chuck the ball around and throw 40, 50 passes and win the game, lifting his team on his shoulders. He's fine. I think he's about what the Steelers have had. He's not that – he might be a little better. He's not that far off to me than what Mason Rudolph has been, what Kenny Pickett has been, and really everyone else that's played quarterback for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, listen, I just –
they might bring him back next year, by the way.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
What other choice do they really have?
This is Tomlin Steelers, right? Just – whatever you can get that's going to be this level of quarterbacking. And sure, right, at 42 years old, I think you're right. Like, I don't know, their pivot would be a rookie again. And this might not be the draft to do it, and they're never going to be high enough for the draft to do it anyway.
I bet you once we get to the offseason, the odds of Kyler Murray's next team,
oh my goodness,
I would guess Pittsburgh is going to be high on that list.
That doesn't strike any fear into me either.
No.
There's nothing they could do unless they offer like some super package for Dak that would make me worried about Pittsburgh.
But Dallas is kind of good right now.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it either. I think as long as they're coached by Mike Tomlin, they're going to have an incredibly low ceiling.
Do you think they ever move from him?
No.
It's got to come from him, doesn't it?
I would think so.
And is that ever going to happen? Is he ever going to get sick of this? This will be 10 years.
Yeah.
Since his last playoff win.
That's
if they do not win it this year, and I don't think that they will win a playoff game
I don't believe so either.
The best they could hope for is if they do win the AFC North and they're the 4, they could play the Chargers, right, or the Jaguars, and they could win a game that way. Don't think they'd beat the Bills. Don't think they'd beat the Chiefs. Don't think they beat the Ravens.
Nope.
In a playoff game. So if they get to 10 years, what's going to give? Tomlin wanting a different challenge? Those
there was
owners,
a rumor.
Those owners have not fired a coach since the 60s.
I know.
Like, they're not going to do it.
There was a rumor that there is a long-standing coach in the NFL who's going to be this offseason looking for a change of scenery. And I just don't know. There are not very many
The coach
coaches.
would be looking.
Yes.
Who are the long-standing coaches?
Tomlin.
McDermott. That's not happening. Andy Reid.
Yep.
No. Sean McVay. He did want to do TV a couple years ago. That's not
They're
happening.
as good as they've been in his career.
Long-standing
Shanahan?
coaches. Oh, I like that one. Him and the GM are kind of on the fritz.
Stefanski, right? Is he considered a long time?
Yeah. That's possible too. I think I like the Shanahan pick though.
I think
because him
too.
and John Lynch are kind of at odds.
They do appear to kind of constantly be at odds.
Yeah.
You know who else kind of seems at odds? Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. All right, be listening for the ECMC halftime show. ECMC, go where the Bills go. I'll be recapping the key moments of the first half and bring you up to date on the Skyworks stats of the game. Skyworks Equipment Rental, building America from the ground up. And a reminder to let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills this winter. Enter now at WGR550.com for a chance to win $1,200 towards your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow, comforting today. On tap next on Countdown to Kickoff, the pregame roundtable with Sal Capaccio, Chris Brown, and Eric Wood. Next on tap is brought to you by Miller Lite, proud partner of the Buffalo Bills. It's Miller time.